Perfect.
All right, guys. So I am here with our beautiful, lovely guest, Dipped in Poison. I am absolutely beyond honored. I sent an email as kind of like, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna try, because she is one of the people on Twitch that I absolutely admire more than anything. She is both kind and genuine and a badass at the same time, which is like everything that I strive to be in life. So I'm super honored to have you on. If you want to give like a brief introduction of yourself, your stream, just to introduce to anyone who might not already know you.
I am so bad at intros. I'm a just chatting variety streamer with a heavy focus on chatting, and it's just comfy, cozy, chaotic vibes. Like that's it. That's it. And then our conversation though is like wherever it goes, it goes. My train of thought's gone, but like chat keeps me locked. But that's it. I don't know how to describe stream ever. I just sit there confused and I have a good time.
Hold on, sorry, I'm making sure that I have your volume up enough. Maybe if I turn up user volume. Okay. Say something?
Hi, yes, hello.
Is it still a little bit quiet? Maybe if I turn up system. Sorry. Say one more, something else.
Hi.
Okay, I see where the volume's going. I think that worked.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. So the questions that I have kind of to begin with are typically just general streaming things, just to kind of like ease into it. And then kind of going into some other things, but my whole thing about the podcast is along the way, if we get into like side tangents or there's anything else that you feel passionate about talking about, I am more than happy to do that as well. I just kind of want it to be hanging out and getting to know you.
All right, sounds good.
All right, so with streaming, how long have you been streaming and when did you start?
3 years today. Like
That's right.
Today.
Congratulations on 3 years. That's so exciting. How has it changed over time for you? I mean,
drastically.
Yeah.
Like I think about stream in chapters. So when I first started streaming, it was just I don't know what I'm doing. Like my first stream lasted an hour and a half because I just could not get audio to work and I was typing to my chat. And not much has changed from there. But I fumbled around a lot my first year streaming because I didn't know any other streamers and I wasn't really watching any other streamers. So I was just doing what I thought I needed to do. And then my second year of streaming, I kind of figured out more and I made more friends that streamed and I learned a lot more. And then already this year, it just seems worlds difference. It's just stream time is like 3 times the speed. Like one stream week is like a month in regular lifetime. Like, it's crazy. So it feels like I've been streaming forever, but 3 years.
That's wild. So when you started streaming, was it kind of like you had heard of Twitch and like wanted to just try it, or did you know, you said you didn't really know many people in streaming? Was it like someone had suggested it to you, or how did you kind of find out about it and fall into it?
I found out about it when I was modeling, and it was in 2015. Like one of my really good friends, he's an esports photographer and a fashion editorial photographer, and he was like, "You love video games, why don't you stream on Twitch?" And I was like, "What is that?" And he gave me like the round. I was like, "That's crazy. Like that's not real." I was like, "Okay, maybe I'll think about it." I got like a cheap Dell PC, but I didn't stream for like 3 years. And then I had, at the time I started streaming, there was like I was at the almost at the end of my rope in life. I had like nothing really going for me. I was like, I need to stay sane. I'll try streaming. And that's what made me do it. I just really didn't have anything else at the moment. And I was like, well, I can do that now. And then I stuck with it.
Yeah. So when you went in, did you go in thinking that you were going to do predominantly games? Did you know about just chatting as a category? Like, how did that kind of come together?
I love this question. I was going to be purely a Pokemon streamer. Like I had 2 names I was going to pick before Dipped in Poison. One was actually Goth Trainer Mowgli, because Mowgli was like a lifelong nickname for me, and I was just going to do that, but I didn't know how complicated it was to stream from like a 3DS, and I didn't have a capture card. I didn't have anything, so I was just going to stream games, but I got so excited to stream that I was waiting on a capture card, so I just like, oh, there's IRL, because it was IRL whenever I started. I was like, yeah, I'll sit there. I'll do this. And then I found out very quickly that I loved it, which was wild because I never talked. Like growing up, I would never talk. If I could answer with one word, I would do that. So when I saw that I liked talking to people, I was like, this is weird. This is really weird. But yeah, it went that direction. And when I started playing games, my formula for stream was like IRL for 3 hours, game for an hour, IRL for 3 more hours. Like I just wanted to talk more than I wanted to play games.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those that because I didn't know about Twitch really too much either when I started streaming. It was like someone suggested it and I was like, okay, cool. And I thought I was going to do gaming too because I didn't know that just chatting was a thing either.
Yeah.
And then I was streaming on my Mac, my like little Mac laptop, and it was just garbage quality. And so it couldn't handle games. So it's like, I guess I'm going to just talk. And then it's just, I think one of the cool things about Twitch is finding communities within it and all the people there. Because I feel like that's so much what makes a stream is just like the people interacting and hanging out.
Yeah, I agree. Community was like the biggest surprise for me because no one explained community to me. They gave me like the basic rundown, like, hey, you can make money playing video games, like it's supposed to be that simple. But then whenever I actually started building a community, I was like, this is my favorite part because it's like streaming by yourself isn't as fun, but like when you have basically like an online family that you get to meet up with every single time, like that part is the sickest part. Like there are days where I don't want to stream. I'm like, I'm not gonna let them down. Like I'm gonna show up even though I'm not gonna be high energy. And it's crazy what, like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just you're not prepared for community until it starts happening. You're like, oh yeah, I would die for you. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, cool. Super casual. Like.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because then I feel like when you like take time off even unintentionally, just I know at least personally I like it feels like if I don't get to see people or like like hang out with them even on stream and stuff, like I didn't realize until I took a break how much a part of my life the community had become.
Yeah, it just happened so slowly, but like what I said earlier where Twitch time is like 3 times normal time. You hang out with a group of people for like a week on Twitch, it's legitimately like meeting up for a whole month, like just filling each other's hearts out. It just becomes like that so quick.
I was gonna say, I think that it's some of my Twitch friends I feel like I've become closer to than people that I went to college with. Like I saw them every day, and I don't know them nearly as well as I know so many people here. I will 100% agree with that because I think about people that are really close to me prior to streaming and I'm like, were we ever that? Because I never talk to them about the things I will just talk to about the community or even like carrying over to Twitter. Like everyone that's on Twitch, they'll follow me on Twitter and it's like the same thing. It's crazy. I love it. Yeah, it's I don't know, it's one of those that kind of I think about because people are like, oh, the internet makes us so much more separate because of, like you don't have to be with each other to communicate. But I kind of realized in my process streaming, like there's so much of the opposite that people don't always talk about that I had no idea existed until I like fell into it. So it's super neat. Do you have any favorite like stream memories currently? Like if you had to pick one of your favorite moments on stream, what would that be?
This is just like a whole mood because there's a lot of individual things I have loved, but there's a stream not super late last year where I did a random one-off evening stream since I only really stream US morning times, and for some reason the entire community said, you know what, we're gonna make her cry really hard today. And it was just like a gift war back and forth. We broke 1,000 subs.
Holy
I've never
crap.
broken 1,000, never come close to breaking 1,000 subs. And then it happened and I was just ugly crying. Like my makeup was running on stream and I was all splotchy because like, I don't understand what happened. But in between all that, with every like sub bomb or whatever happened, it was just like nice message after nice message. And I was just sweating and crying and just no words were coming out. And I think it was the longest I've ever been silent in my stream ever. Like that's an accomplishment to make me not talk. I was letting chat go. I was like, that is still one of my favorites because we made some like friends from that stream that just kind of rolled in like, hey, I got a sub, what's going on here? And then they were like, oh, feels trip, okay. So that is one of the big standout things for me. It's like the entire stream start to finish, which is so much fun. And there's alcohol, so that just
yeah. just the cherry on top.
Here's just everything was just so good.
Yeah, I feel like those are always the best. And I don't know, sometimes I feel like the kindness from chat can be absolutely overwhelming, like in the best way possible.
Yeah, because you know, they don't owe you a thing. So if anyone just even goes out of their way to say something nice, I'm like, oh my god, like, thank you. I'm just free content. You listen as long as you want to. So when anyone just steps out of lurk, I'm like, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you
I'm
for
like,
even just lurking.
The
like,
fact
you could
that
do anything
people
else.
spend their time with you, you know, for an extended period of time, like it's so wild. It's like whenever someone's like, I have you like up on the TV while I'm doing like chores or whatever, you know, like cleaning the house, and I'm like, the fact that you want to hang out while you're doing, you know, like that kind of stuff, that kind of blows my mind. It's super neat. I think I talked to someone else about this before on a different podcast, but just like how some streamers seem to be very like anti-lurk, which I think is weird to me, because I'm like,
I don't understand
it's
that
support in any form, you know. And I think that it's so people, and sometimes I've had people who like apologize, like, sorry, like I have to lurk, and I'm like, don't apologize, like you're here, and that's what
Stop
matters.
being so nice.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have to have my stream pulled up. Like, don't apologize.
What would you say is the hardest part about streaming? The hardest thing for you?
For me, it's a whole checks and balance between like tangible life and then stream life, and then balancing like post stream priorities, and then doing tangible life things to where like I am bad at balancing attention between things. That is definitely a me thing, to where I know I should be posting on other socials. I know I need to be really active in Discord. I know I need to, you know, talk to my family, like hang out with best friend, and then like boyfriend, dogs, pets, all the things. I'm like, I can't balance that well at all. So a lot of times I'll have a lot of fun on stream. I'm like, oh, it was accidentally 8 hours. I have laundry, I have to do this, you know, like my dog needs to go to the vet. Oh no, I haven't called my mom in a couple of days. Like, it will just start piling up, and then I will get overwhelmed, and I'm like, oh no. But yeah, for me, it's balancing things. I'm so bad at it, and if one thing goes wrong, I will crumble, like kind of crumble, like in an endearing way, where I don't know this. I'm gonna throw this as an example because it just happened. I'm like a jinx. If something's going to go wrong, it's going to go wrong if I touch it. So like today, I texted my best friend. I was like, hey, let me run camera settings by you real fast. And she's like, okay. It's like, okay, camera's not working. All right, cool. There's like 10 minutes before you go live. But when I get hurdles, I will just, I'm like, I'm already backed up on my day. Like, not today. I can't do this. My time management is terrible, awful. So a lot of people don't know that they like. For those that haven't streamed, they think streaming is just go live, have fun, end stream, yay. Yep. But there is so much. Like, I'm full-time streamer, but even way before that, there's so much behind the scenes of streaming. Like, just working with OBS, and then things that to some people don't matter, to me they matter, like, you know, fun alerts, cute things to, like, at least for me, like, make me feel better about people subbing, because I still feel awkward when people want to extend a sub or anything like that. So I want to give back like something cutesy, something fun. Yeah. And that stuff does not happen overnight. Like, you have to brainstorm it, you have to find the resources, you have to make stuff yourself, and it's just, stream doesn't stop when stream stops. And I've never had anything where once it was over, I still had to do more things. It's usually whatever job I had is like, modeling is done. Okay, like, I just have to worry about castings right now. Like, that's it. Not like I'm modeling after modeling. So that's a lot. And I just threw out a bunch of answers because I am a train wreck that can't stop talking.
I absolutely empathize. Like, I remember, I think one of the things that blows my mind is like, because I love community, but I know that there are sometimes people in the community that are like, well, why don't you spend time with me one-on-one outside of stream, or like that kind of stuff. And I'm like, I cannot, because I'm on stream.
I'm sorry, when I get follows, that's gonna blink.
Oh no, that's absolutely
scare
okay.
the shit out of me.
That's really, wait, you hooked up your Nanoleaf so that when you follow it, it like will blink and flash. That's super cool.
Bits, subs, anything like that will interact with the lights, and I usually have them on. So if I get offline follows, I will just like jump during like life because I'm like, why the fuck did they just blink like that? So yeah, if that happens, I'm sorry.
That's super cool. If you don't mind, I might ask later, like hit you up later, if you have if there's like a link or something that I could go to look into that, because that's super neat.
Super easy site, and you can customize it like crazy.
Oh, awesome.
Like, I have it so chat can like pick colors randomly and do a little command for channel points to change the colors while I'm talking and stuff like that.
I did like I messed around with like Leorin board a little bit so that I could do some stuff with like sound effects and Zoom and that kind of stuff, but I haven't
have
figured
the
out.
patience for it. I want to use it so bad, and I just look at the UI, I'm like,
yeah, it was one of those.
Not today.
I had to sit down. I mean, and that's one of the like, you know, outside of stream things where it's like I had to invest like a couple hours of time just to like figure out what the heck I'm doing. But I was gonna say I relate a lot to kind of what you were saying, just because it was I was not prepared for that, because I feel like you're the kind of person that, you know, you talk about you want to give back to the people who are giving to you, and I think people don't understand that, like, yeah, we're on for a couple hours, but then we put in hours beyond that, and then outside of all of that, we exist as normal people with lives and friends and family, and, you know, and at the very least, like, we need some time to just sit and do nothing and breathe. So that's definitely a hard balance, and I am bad about it as well.
Yeah, I get hit with a revenge procrastination, and I did not know this was a term until recently, and it made me excited because I just thought my brain was dumb. To where I will be kind of like busy all day and not really have time for myself, and when it's time to have time for myself, like watching shows or playing, you know, Switch or something, laying in bed, my brain's like, nope, we're not going to do anything. You remember when you wanted to sit and stare at the wall for 10 minutes, but you didn't? We're going to do that for 3 hours right now. Like, I will stay awake longer than I should be just to do nothing, like right before bed. Like, I should fall asleep. But my brain's like, no, we did not wind down today, so we're just going to not do anything, but you're not going to sleep. Like, that happens to me so often. It makes me mad. Because I have to have alone time. Like, I have to have it. I have to, like, not touch my phone, not look at a computer, like, not really talk to anyone, because I just, you know, in just chatting, all you do is just chatting, and that's a lot of mental and emotional energy coming out, and I need to recharge to be able to do it again the next day. But yeah, not a lot of people understand that, and I had to deal with that a lot when I first started streaming. And like the second year of streaming, I had people that would be very passive aggressive about it. They would use subs, bits, or their time to kind of like, you should respond to me, or I'm going to pull my sub, or you never message me, or, you know, you don't message me quick enough, or while I'm in stream, they'll be like, yeah, I DM'd you like 3 days ago and you won't say anything. And I'm just like, this is my time. Like, I'm here for so many hours a day. Like, this is where you talk to me. And if it can't be sent like an open Discord for any other reason besides, like, I don't know, like, I let people message me private things, like someone is making them feel comfortable, they have a quick stream question, things like that are good. Other than that, I've pretty much taken like other streamers' advice and kind of cut my DMs because I just
it's hard, because I know when I first started streaming, I was like, I was the kind of person that, like, I wanted to be there for everyone if I could, you know, like, because it was like a smaller community at the time. It was a little bit more manageable, you know, and you're like, oh, like, we're all friends and we're all hanging out all the time. And then it builds really quickly. And so it's not just, you know, sometimes I get from people, it's that I'm just one person, like, you know, it's not that much. But when it's a bunch of just one people, you know, it's
exactly.
And it's so hard because, I don't know, it's as an empathetic person, you want to be able to be there for them and help them to the best of your abilities, but then it comes at the cost of your own mental health and sanity sometimes. And so it's that hard decision that you have to make, because someone brought up the term like parasocial relationship, that, like, you know, other people will see you and they see you every day that you're on, you know, and they hear you talk, but we don't always hear them, or we interact with them, but not in the same way that they see us. And so it becomes this weird bonded sense. And as a streamer who wants to connect, it's hard, but then you have to, at the end of the day, just make that call. And it's not easy, but it's my biggest pet peeve when people are like, but I gave you this, or I gave you this many bits and you don't play games with me. And I'm like, you have no obligation to do that. And doing that doesn't entitle you to more of my time, you know?
It's just like, it's a huge guilt trip anyway, which is a red flag for me, because it's like, I'm not here to be bought.
Yeah.
That's not why I do this. Like, I'm not being auctioned off to whoever is like the most generous at the time. And I feel like everyone that streams has to deal with that for a moment. I had people that would just like randomly send me gifts, and then it just became like a very aggressive, like, now talk to me thing. And it was like, I didn't ask for these. Like, I don't, it's a big, scary, frustrating thing. And then I get worried about newer streamers, because I'm like, I dodged a lot of bad when I first started streaming. And that's only because I'm having to deal with LA people. Like, you have red flags, like you'll see them from a mile away.
Oh yeah.
But I'm like, there's just people out there that starting stream, they're so new, so innocent, and they don't know. Like, people are looking for brand new streamers to be like, I got you this thing, now I get your attention because you're new, no one else has gotten your attention yet. And it's so scary to see. It's so scary.
It's one of those that, like, you don't know. One of the things that I say, and like, I mean this not entirely in how it sounds, but I was like, as I've been streaming, I feel like it's made me more into a bitch, in the sense that, like, I've had to cut off certain parts of myself that wants to let people get to me, you know, like that kind of stuff. Like, when they use your kindness or your empathy as an attack, because they know that you want to care. And like, I've had to learn to kind of harden myself to parts of it. And I think one of the most interesting parts is like balancing that with still wanting to be the kind of person, you know, that I want to be, like, be kind, to be able to have that interaction with my community without it being something that people can use against me.
Exactly. And it's such a scary, like, learning process, because you don't want to feel like inauthentic to yourself, and especially like as an empathetic person, like all you do is care and you feel for these people. But narcissists love empathetic people because they know how easy it is to get to them. And that's the group of people that I had to deal with when I first started streaming. Narcissists, like, across the board, just toxic, and I was just having a bad time. My first year of streaming was bad because toxic people found me. Toxic people were trying to, like, take advantage of me, and that, it made me better now, but it's
the process of getting through it. Yeah, it's always the hardest part. Let's see. Oh, so you came in starting wanting to do, you know, Pokemon streams, and you ended up loving just chatting. Is there anything that you have wanted to try streaming but have either not had the resources to do, or maybe were afraid to start it or try it?
I like legitimately just more game streams. Like going back to not really time managing well, I miss playing video games a lot because the bulk of my day is streaming, just chatting. But then I do the in my head streamer thing where I know that game streams just do not pull the viewers for me like just chatting does. And I'm very harsh on myself when it comes to numbers. Like, I've never been able to let that go. So I'm like, oh, but my discoverability's up if I'm here. I'm like, but I want to play games, and I know every single time my, like, core community, I could sit here and, like, play in dirt, and they'd be like, I'm so happy you're having fun. Like, that's good. And I know that's what matters most. It's just I will still get in my head about it, like,
oh absolutely.
But yeah, I want to stream more games, like, still sit and just chatting for a while, but then jump into games. I just find it more difficult to kind of, I don't know. Morning streams I love them, but it also feels like a weird time to play games. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't want to start later in the day because I like getting everything I need done in the morning.
Yeah.
But yeah, just kind of the morning feel plus games, but also me being in my head. I just want to kind of break all of that and just do the things that I want. But I don't know. It's so much easier said than
I feel like
done.
it's such a hard, especially when you're like mostly just chatting, because I say the same thing to my like community sometimes, and I'm like, oh, like I kind of want to play this game on stream, but I feel like everyone will leave if I do, because like I've had it happen a couple of times where I'm like, all right, you know, we're just chatting and I switch into a game and then it just kind of drops, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And like you said, like the core community members stick around, and that's, you know, reassuring to see. But But yeah, no, it's so easy to just get in your head about it because you're like, okay, but like they don't like this, so like it's that back and forth of like, is it my job to do what they want to see, or is it okay to kind of do some things that I want to do as well, you know? And
yeah, exactly. And I've dealt with people that, this is such a specific example. It's always Animal Crossing. If I'm going to play Animal Crossing, I will get like a third of the people in chat be very vocal, like, oh, I hate this game. I'll see you later. I'm like, okay, bye. Okay. I don't want to do this anymore. We're gonna stay just chatting then.
yeah.
Like it's really wild to me sometimes. I'm like, oh, okay, we hate what I'm about to do. That's super casual for you to say, okay.
Yeah. It's also like sometimes people say stuff like that, and I'm like, it's easy for you to say that, but like then you don't think about how like as a streamer, and especially when it's like a couple of people saying that, you're like, could you imagine if you were the streamer and you just had all the like, you know, you go to do something and everybody's just kind of like, oh hey, I hate this, bye, or like,
yeah.
you know, like it's not a great feeling.
Oh, it sucks. That it just pushes me away from games so much because I am variety part of streaming, so it's never consistently one game. It's just like what feels right, what I'm playing for a while, and that is just building a community around variety games is also a challenge because you have people that only like this type of game or this type of game, so it's a very fluid viewership and community, and that's another thing to navigate that is but I need to do it. I know I want to do it.
Do you have any, if you had like or is there any set goal for the future of your stream that you are working towards or thinking about?
I have like goals that are not really like, it's like everyone, I just want things to continue to grow and progress, become more successful, but then I have like tangible life goals I would like to hit because of stream growing. So like the biggest one I have is like I want to build a house so bad. Like I don't want to rent. It's like my 3, 4, 5 year goal right now is the biggest one, the longest one. I just want to get to that point where I can build a house. And then everything in between that is like new car level to where I feel comfortable doing that. Like because of stream last year, I paid off all the credit card debts, and that was a goal I didn't like set in stone. I was like, I need to do this, and I was like, oh, Christmas present for me. That's actually dope. That sped up my timeline a little bit. So it's tangible life things, and it's kind of been easier to look forward to that stuff with COVID because it's not like I can go do anything right now. So I'm like, well, I'll stream more and I'll save more and I can hit these goals. But for in-stream things, oh, I have one. I got this. I want to be like in podcasts more, or like when my friends stream games, like I want to be playing with them on their stream and stuff. And my best friend knows this, even like my friends in tangible life, they're afraid to ask to play games with me, or they're afraid to ask me questions. They'll go through my best friend to ask me questions because I have the bone structure of a Disney villain, I suppose. So like that scares people. Like I feel like I don't know, they get intimidated to ask me things. So I always get worried that other streamers are like that. So like when I got your email, I was like, oh, I was like, I get to be on a thing. Someone asked me to be on a thing. Look, I'm so excited. But yeah, that's actually a really solid one that I have. I just want to be on more stream things because I am in a very weird pocket of Twitch, just morning just chatting, which there's not a lot going on at that time. So it's a weird thing to know that a lot of people don't know I exist on the platform because I'm just half of like the streamers on Twitch are not awake yet.
Yeah.
So even if like I'm not streaming or anything, like I want to play games with other friends that stream and do things like that. So I'm awake. I want to hang out.
Yeah, I know for me, like it was one of those, like I was really nervous just because, I mean, one, I think you're really cool. So like I get automatically nervous. I like have a thing from high school where like other female people are just super intimidating to me for the most part because high school is the worst. But and then also more than anything, I just wanted it to, you know, I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't an awkward situation, and I didn't want you to feel, I don't know, like I don't like I was excited of the prospect of having you on, but I wanted to make sure that it was something that you were fully comfortable with, and I don't want anyone to ever feel like, oh, like I have to, you know, like that kind of stuff too.
Oh, I was so excited. I was like, yay, I get to be in it.
But yeah, I got your, I think it was, I can't remember what I was doing, but I got your email back, and I turned to my boyfriend. I was like, she said yes. And it was just it was such an exciting moment.
Cute.
Um, I had a thought and I completely lost it. One, I was gonna check in. How is everything? I know it was crazy out there with all the
No.
snowstorm and everything. How is everything?
Oh, everything is like it went back to normal for the majority of the part. Like a day, I think it was that Friday. It got into like the 50s or something, and everything was all the snow, ice gone. It was like
Okay.
it never happened, and then
Oh
like
my
2 days later,
gosh.
it was in the 80s, and I was like,
That's like
huh?
whiplash.
Yeah. So like we were very lucky. We still had water. Our electricity was just super inconsistent. It'd be on for an hour, off for like 5. It'd be on
Yeah.
for 5 hours. It'd be off for an hour. Like it was just back and forth, and
Yeah.
the stress of that was I've
Oh
never
yeah.
experienced like power loss for ice or snow, and I'm in Austin, Texas, and that's weird.
Yeah.
But the biggest anxiety that I had were pipes bursting in the apartment
Yeah.
because the fire alarm was going off because people's pipes are bursting because it's Texas. They didn't know you're supposed to drip water when it's cold. Um, and I was so scared because our upstairs neighbors are a nightmare. Anyways, like they're gonna burst. We're gonna have to take all the pets. We're gonna have to go to a hotel somewhere that probably won't have power. I just no, I don't want to deal with this. But yeah, it was like I think it was a week and a half of just chaos. That was just
Yeah.
chaos.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's my parents live in Dallas. I grew up in Dallas, and so they would send pictures like, on occasion of them sitting and just like with candles around them, you know, because it's like I think the most frightening part is like you just don't know when you're gonna lose power again or when it'll be back. Like just
Right.
waiting kind of thing. That's yeah.
I have a friend that lives near Houston, and she never got power back like during that time period. So it was like she was on 50 plus hours of no power. And
Oh my gosh.
she finally was able to like go to her sister's house, and they had power inconsistently, but there were people that never got it back until like
Yeah.
everyone got power back, and that's
Oh my gosh.
horrifying
Yeah, I was
'cause
gonna
it's
say
so
the
cold.
only I guess point of reference I would have for that is like just opposite end, like in California this past summer, we were having rolling blackouts because of how hot it was.
Yeah.
That was one that was a little, I mean, but I can't imagine like because with that running water isn't as much of an issue, but like when it's cold, you know, it's like if you don't run your water, you know, like the pipes burst. I can't even imagine because that's just a nightmare. Everything's
Damaged
yeah.
and frozen then, and yeah, that was just it was a chaotic mess, and it just really, like you said, the whiplash from it, like 2 days later was 80. I was just like, and then for about 2 weeks after, like all the grocery stores had limitations on what you could buy, because of course everyone's like, I have to buy everything now because we didn't have food.
Yeah.
Um, like we were cutting it close on running out of food because the state was just not. They were just like, oh, it's gonna get cold. They weren't like storm, ice storm,
Yeah.
things are gonna be bad. So like we did not get groceries like a week before it happened. So we're like, oh no, all of our food had to be cooked, and we could not rely on the electricity. We're like,
Yeah.
and then with like the dogs and the snake, every time the power went
Oh
out
my
for longer
God.
than an hour, we had to take the snake out and put it in bed with us.
I was gonna
Because
say because that I mean that's so important that
there's nothing we could do about it. So
oh my God.
like he does not function well. I think it's under 75 degrees with humidity.
Okay.
So it was just like put him in a little pillowcase, like put him in the bed, and he just poor little thing was just like, what the hell is happening?
Yeah.
Like that was the only big concern with the animals. Like
Yeah.
serious, had no idea it was cold. He was thriving. My dog, he was upset about it. Like I felt bad. He had to go to the bathroom in an ice storm every time. Like walk outside with him. He
Yeah.
was miserable. But other than that, like snake was the biggest concern because like everyone else was fine. It's just
Yeah. Oh my
snake and
gosh. I didn't even
electricity.
think about that. Yeah. Because
Because
especially like reptiles, like they need heat.
yeah,
Oh my
yeah,
God.
and the fish. Like we have fish, but my tank has the heater, so it never kicked off long enough to freeze my tank. But I saw a lot of videos of people that had fish tanks frozen solid. Like well,
Oh
there
my
goes
God.
my fish.
Yeah. Oh my
Do you think
God.
about that? Yeah, I just even now I'm like that happened. Like that's
Yeah,
weird that happened.
I just remember hearing about that being like, what's going on? Like I've never, in all the time that I grew up, like when I lived in Texas, I think I remember like once or twice that it snowed or iced, and that was it. And the whole of Texas pretty much was frozen over. Like that's
I've lived in so many places, and I've never seen ice and snow like that, and I can't believe I saw it here.
yeah.
like
Yeah.
of all the spots, but I hate the cold. I do not like the cold. I used to like the snow because I'm like, oh, it gives the cold reason. It's pretty. No, I hate snow. I hate ice.
Yeah.
I never wanted to be cold again because I'm like, I don't want that whiplash. I had all my plants in the bedroom. Like I had my space heater in there. So whenever the electricity kicked on, like space heater on, all my plants in there, and it was just don't move. But the towers went down a lot, like cell towers. So when there was no electricity, there was like no internet.
Oh my god.
Nothing.
That's
And we just
terrifying.
we just looked at each other like we don't have board games. Like we were just asking each other questions for hours. Like we're like, I don't know what to do right now.
Just start playing 20 questions.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I mean that's the other thing where like if cell towers are down, like there's nothing you can do. And then if something goes wrong, like if you have a pipe burst and you need to, I don't know who you'd call, but like if you need to call someone, like what do you do? Oh my god. Yeah, no, I'd just been seeing someone mention like icicles on fans. Like I'd seen, you know, some of the pictures going around where like pipes had burst and like just the water froze down on the fans and everything, and it was, yeah, absolutely insane. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you're doing better, and I'm glad that, you know, you made it through with, you know, minimal damage.
Yeah, same. Like because so many people like lost their homes over it, and no pipes burst over us. We are good.
Yeah. I mean, and I guess that would also cause issues. I'm sure least of your worries, but like being able to be online and being able to stream as a person who is online and a lot and makes part of their income off of streaming. I'm sure that was also a stressor. And
the good thing for that, I was taking a big mental health break anyway, so I felt less guilty about my breaks. I'm like, I couldn't stream anyway.
Yeah.
Oh. But yeah, I had just went on a mental health break, and then that hit, and I was like, oh well, okay.
It was the universe being like, all right, if you think about not
give yourself
taking
a break, don't
like,
feel bad about it.
It's supposed to happen. You had mentioned something about streaming in the pandemic, and that made me wonder, has pandemic streaming and how, if you're on more because of it, that kind of stuff, because you can't be out as much and whatnot, has that impacted your streaming or how you feel about streaming or the pressure that you put on yourself to be on?
I think it's a bit of everything kind of got hit there. Whenever like lockdowns happen, I of course immediately noticed like an influx in viewership because we were like, well, what do I do? But because of that, I think it made me a better streamer because I'm like, wow, everyone's miserable. We are locked inside. We don't, like we're not getting social interaction like we used to. So I really felt like my stream was actually needed. So it made me want to do more and be better, like on stream and off stream. Cause it's like, I get it. Like for the last couple of years, it's just been staying indoors and streaming because I was like broke. There was nothing else I could do. Now I have to stay inside. But then I just really saw how much it was affecting other people, and like especially in the beginning where everyone's like, I lost my job. Like there's nothing I can do. Like, thank you for streaming, because I hate mornings. I hate being reminded of it. And ever since then, and like still now, I just was like, oh, I see my value as a streamer for my specific content. Like mornings are the worst times of the day. Like it's usually a reminder that you have so much left of it. So it was miserable, but like good thing was that I actually had a value to my stream, because I felt like I was just going live and just doing whatever until it ended. And I'm like, I need to show up. I need to be a better version of myself, and I need to make sure people get through the mornings, and that's kind of cool. I like that.
I was gonna say, I think because you stream really early, and I'm kind of reverse of like, I stay up later and I wake up a little bit later. And I remember it was like one of the nights of the election, and I was still awake because I think my boyfriend had left too. So I get really, I'm like an anxious person. So like I get really anxious sometimes. So I was like alone in my apartment too. So I was already like anxious about other things. And so I remember I like couldn't fall asleep for a bit. And I remember you went live. And so I came in to hang out in your stream for a little bit. And it was such a nice, I don't know. It was nice company, and it was a nice, I don't know. It was a good distraction from kind of just everything. And I was eventually able to fall asleep, but it was one of those that it was just a nice place to get to be,
Aw,
to get away
thank
from,
you.
life for a bit. So
Yeah, and it's something that I never would have put as a value into my stream until people started vocalizing that to me, and it, it just because just chatting is such it's the wild west, like
yeah,
just scrolling, just chatting, being and just chatting, like you're not gonna find the same thing twice, but within that it's like, well, in this massive section, what am I offering to people? Like I don't really know what I'm doing, and I was trying to figure out other things like a little bit in the beginning of the pandemic, like should I do cooking streams, should I really go hard on some game streams, should I flip my schedule around, like I was going through all this, but then once it really started flowing, like people were very vocal. I was like, oh no, yeah, okay, this is it, this is what I do for stream. And I really need that. I feel like streamers, we need to hear that every now and then, because we get lost in what we're doing. We don't know if it's right, we don't know if we should change something, we don't know if what we've been doing that we like is not good. So whenever new viewers, old viewers, they're like, this is what I like about your stream, and it's all kind of the same thing, I'm like, okay, yeah, or that's the good stuff, I'll keep doing that. Because I really do take input to heart, and like criticism, good and bad. So I appreciate it, because then I don't feel like I'm fumbling around in the dark when I go live.
yeah, yeah. I know. I'm sure most streamers go through that period of like, okay, do I need to change everything fundamentally about what I'm doing, or does it work? And sometimes just to hear, someone pop in and be like, yeah, just I really like this or that. It's like it's a nice, I guess, reassurance to know that something's going right.
Yeah, exactly. Because there's so many creators on this platform, and it's so much easier for me to see when I go into someone else's stream, like this, I love this, but like when I look at myself, I'm like, I'll look at VODs, I'm like,
All right.
I should change this. I should, like, the amount of times I've changed my stream room just in the past couple of months is insane, because I will look at VODs and I'm like, doesn't look right. Vibes off. I don't know. Like, I don't like it in here. Like, I've done so many stream room rehauls, and now I'm super content because I studied my old clips and stuff. I'm like, I liked palm tree. I didn't like beanbag back there. I like this. I want to put these colors in here. And I will do that with content and personality, and even down to what I'm wearing, what my makeup looks like, how my hair looks like, because all of that affects my general mood, which will affect stream. And I am a person where my mood will dictate like 90% of your stream experience.
yeah.
So like I always
Mhm.
want to enjoy sitting here. I want to be in a good mood. I want to feel like good about myself. And otherwise I am like, conversation will stop because I'm like, I'm not in the mood. Like I'm just not feeling it. And I'm very mood dependent for my content.
Yeah, no, I agree. There have been certain
A
times
lot
where
of
I'm like,
pressure.
I know that I can't, like, it's if I'm having a particularly bad day, I'm like, I know that I probably can't stream today because I'm like, if one bad thing happens, I might just start crying, kind of thing. Or if I'm in a bad mood and someone comes in being just, like trolling, like I'm a lot sassier because I'm not gonna, like I won't hold back. And so I'm like, I have to be careful to make sure to do like a personal inventory check of like, okay, how am I today? What do I need to be aware of going into it? And but yeah, no, mood can absolutely impact a lot of stream. I guess one question that I have kind of coming out of that, like you talked about how it's so much easier to find things with other people that you like, but what would you say you think your strong suit is in streaming if you had to pick something? I mean, you have so many, but if you have to pick one.
I am so bad at this. This is what therapy is for.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to see like the good and the things that I admire in other people, but like when I look at myself, I'm gonna be very nitpicky. Like, you're not doing this enough. Nope. But like I could see a mirror image of myself streaming, and be like, wow, this, and this. But if I'm like actually looking at me, I can't do it.
Yeah.
I think like as a streamer, one of my biggest values is like making sure people are seen and heard. Even when I am like 5 minutes behind chat, I try so hard to just read out loud everyone's input. Like I really want to get through chat. So I'm like, they're taking the time to like even add anything to the conversation. I want to get to it. I want to add to it. I want to do that. It has become more of a problem now because chat's moving faster. There's a lot more people. So I have gotten to the point where I'll just be like, I'm gonna skip some if it was really important, repost it. Like I'm just so far behind, and I don't want new friends to like I don't know where she's at chat. I'm gonna go somewhere else. I think being able to talk, but let other people feel like they can talk in a space like Twitch is one of my greater strengths as a streamer. Is just I guess reading, reading and talking. I think to put it really really dumbed down might be it. Because I will even still like with Brandon, I will be like, I don't know what I'm doing to make people want to be here, and he'll tell me, and I'm like, okay, but you're wrong. Like, you're just saying nice things right now.
If my boyfriend ever says anything, I'm always like, but you're biased. Like, you have to say that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so hard. It's so hard to really give yourself praise or anything because we've been so conditioned from a young age to be like, do better. Like, that's cool, but do better. And I do have, like, I think my most toxic trait is whatever my best is, that's not my new standard. And if I dip below that, I will be sad. Mm-hmm. So if I just, for a week, am doing really well stream-wise, and then it drops, I'm like, oh, I failed. Okay, what's wrong? Like, I got to figure out everything all over again. I have a type A personality, so I'm like, it has to be perfect. I have to like it. But I'll never point out the good stuff. I always point out the bad stuff and try to fix it.
Yeah, I grew up in a very like very perfectionistic kind of like culture, and so that's become one of my like biggest traits. And I think one of the biggest challenge constantly that I have to work on is like striving for excellence versus perfection, because it's like I want to do my best, but if I hold myself to trying to be perfect every time, like I'm not gonna, like it's not gonna happen, and then I'm just gonna be mad at myself for not doing it.
I won't want to fail, so a lot of times I won't try new things. I don't want to fail at them. I just want to do the things that I know I'm good at, and that's not good as a content creator because you always need to try new things. Like, you have to try new things because otherwise you're gonna feel stale.
Yeah.
So even little refreshers like, let me change the colors in my stream room, let me do this, let me add a new alert, that is enough to keep me like, oh, I did a good thing. Okay, cool, and do another good thing. But yeah, I definitely grew up in an environment where it's like all A's, nothing. There's no other letter that exists. Like, do not let another letter exist. And that has carried over. And I was never like pressured to be perfect, but it was like that's just the standard. Like that's just it. And I have tried to unlearn that, and it's not easy.
Oh yeah, no, not at all. Especially when it's something that like you grew up with, and it's a mentality that you've just had. Like, it's so easy to fall into that as a default. And I think one of the hardest things about it is it happens subconsciously. Like you can look at something that you're doing, and in the back of your mind, you're telling yourself already, like, this isn't good, I need to fix this, and like that's not good. And you're not even aware that it's happening. It just is happening. This
is a meme on my stream where I have restarted anything that I can control. So like Animal Crossing, Stardew Valley, Minecraft, over and over and over, because that makes me feel like I have control. Like, yeah, this isn't perfect, let's make it perfect by completely taking it to ground zero. Like, I will do that over and over again to the point where I won't like fully enjoy a game, but that also translates over to my life. I will take everything apart just to put it back together again, because I'm like, oh, it's not working, so it's all broken. Yeah, that is, I have not come close to unlearning that one yet, but I would like to. I'm tired. I would like to.
I just need a break. I see someone asked a question in chat. They said, when you started streaming, did you know when you weren't in the right mindset, or was that a matter of experimentation and learning to get to understanding that balance?
It was a little bit of both. Like, that year that I first started streaming, it was hands down the worst year of my life. And I did start streaming early in the year, so it did not hit the worst just yet, but I had already been feeling like it, like I was in autopilot a lot, and stream made me hyper aware of that fact. So if I saw clips or something, I would notice, like, I would just kind of like dead fish eyes read. It'd be like a half second, and then I would laugh. Like, it was almost like my body's like, oh, this is kind of funny, react. Like, it was like that. Yeah. And stream made me see it, because I would go back to a VOD or a clip. I'm like, huh, is that how I act? Like, it was just and I think another thing was, so many people were scared of me when I first started streaming, because I just like a resting bored face all the time like this, and I was just angry a lot. I was just really, really angsty. It was like I was 15 again. Um, and it wasn't until the following year, when I had left California and I moved into my sister's house, I started streaming, and it was like the first day that it was actually my best friend. It was the day that we had met. She made me laugh on stream, and I actually laughed to the point where it clicked. I was like, I have not laughed in a really long, like actually instant reaction laugh and like feel good. Um, and then just from then on out, I would look back at old clips and stuff of me. I'm like, oh no, I look dead. Like it was just everything about me just did not seem like I was a real person, especially now. So I can go back through my clips and it's almost like an emotional diary because I'll see how I'm doing based off my actual physical appearance because I am the lucky person. If I'm going through it, I don't look the same. It's almost like my entire features change. Like I'm just super sucked up and sad. But when I first started streaming, I was aware that something was off. I just did not know how bad until things kind of got better, like slowly better. But streaming also helped me in that time period, even though it was awful, because that was my escape. And I've never had like online forums that I ever jumped to. So Twitch was like the first of anything like that I got to like have my own identity on. And that helped me grow as a human for like later things. But at that time it was just bad. Just bad.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of crazy being a streamer because when you go through things, you know, sometimes it's, you know, like you said, like evident on stream, and like the way that you said, like almost like a diary of your life a little bit. Like it's kind of crazy because you can go back and be like, you can find a clip and you're like, okay, I actually remember what I was actually thinking about at the time, or like, you know, it's like little snippets of your life recorded like a little movie. It's kind of wild.
Yeah, I agree. It's why I love clips, but I wish I did delete a lot of them because they bummed me out. I did keep like one or two just so I could see it and I would know. Because your life is legitimately documented every time you stream, and we talk about everything. So it's like if VOD stayed forever, I could just have my life logged, and that is odd because I never had like a diary growing up. My diaries were like, day was bad, next page, like good day. Like I never went into detail, so be able to see something like whatever we're talking about, whatever we're laughing about, I'm like, oh, on the flip side of that, it is sad when I see like people that are not there anymore, like because that happens. There's turnover. There's turnover on streams like forever. It's just when they're like there, and then I'm like, wow, they disappear. Like, are they okay?
Yeah.
And then I come into this weird thing where I'm like, am I overstepping boundaries if I reach out? Because I don't want them to think like, oh, they're just reaching out because they want more viewers. I'm like, you legitimately were hanging out for a while. I realize you haven't been around. Are you okay? Like I always just want a yes or no answer. And I don't know if you've ever had to deal with that, but I get worried about a lot of people that I've seen. Some people I can take a stab at, like, you know, why they've disappeared, like community grew, things like that. There's just some I'm like, are they okay? Like,
oh yeah, it's so crazy to go back, and because I've only been on for I guess a little over a year and a half now, but so I'd go back to some of my beginning clips and like people who used to be there for like months of like, you know, the early, you know, when everything started. And then like, you know, I see them, I used to have chat up on my screen. So like I can see kind of like who was there.
Exactly.
And so then I see who was there and I'm like, oh my God, I haven't seen them in a long time. Like I hope that they're okay. Or, you know, or with some of them, like I know this or that happened, you know, like just different community stuff. But it's always kind of, that's one of the things that kind of bums me out is like sometimes it's not even there's not an issue or anything, they just kind of move on. And like that's something that I think I've also had to learn how to deal with, because I'm like, okay, I can't take it personally, it happens. Like it's not like someone decided I don't like you as a person, so you know. And even if they did, like there are so many people who still enjoy hanging out, but it's one of those I can't think about too long because it'll make me sad.
Yeah, because it's like on paper it's like, yeah, naturally there's an influx of people coming in, there's going to be like a percentage going out, but when you stream, like you lose people. Like if you have an acquaintance or something, you just kind of stop talking. It's like, oh, did I do something? But that's happening so fast, so it's happening often that you're like, wait, did I do something? Yeah. Because in life normally it's like once, maybe every couple months, someone may just kind of like go silent. But when you stream, it's often, and that takes an emotional toll on you.
Oh yeah.
Like it's hard not to think about. And for me, I have OCD, so legitimately I will think about things for a while, and that was one that I don't know. I feel like my brain just started focusing on other things where I'm like, what happened? Like, are they okay? Because I never had a large friend group ever, so I never had to really deal with, oh, they've kind of gone silent. Other friends. It's odd. Like that one I never know how to articulate. It's just that turnover happens so quick, and it will like toughen you up a little bit because you're like, oh yeah, they'll leave. But at the beginning, it's like, oh, but they loved it here. What did I do to change it? Like what happened? It's odd.
Yeah, it's I've always been kind of like a quality over quantity person, and I'm also not like, I'm not super extroverted, so I never had like big friend groups and like you mentioned. And so I think that when all of a sudden it's like being a part of such a big friend group, like I'm not really like sure how to navigate that space of like what so they stepped away. Is that, do I need to reach out, or like should I give them their space? Like
that's also my biggest struggle, because I don't know what's the appropriate thing to do there, like ever.
yeah I'm like, it's such a weird balance, because I don't want to overstep and make people uncomfortable, but I also like, I genuinely want to make sure that they're okay, especially in the pandemic too, because I feel like everybody's been going through different waves of just like a lot of difficulty or just some really bad mental health stuff, and so I want to make sure everyone's doing okay, taking care of themselves. But it's definitely hard to navigate for sure. Do you have a favorite thing about your community? Talking about the people that you spend your time with, is there a favorite thing that if you could pick a favorite thing about how they are, who they are?
They're chaotic, like in such like a cute way. Like it's very low-key chaos. Just it's just something about that. It can be not like I have jump scares and that's chaotic, but I could just be doing my thing and all of a sudden I'll get hit with the nicest message from someone, be like, oh, by the way, I just want to tell you this incredibly nice thing, and then I'll just start crying. Or it'll be something to where I don't know, like I'm sure you saw the lights going crazy for a second like 30 minutes ago, because most of them jumped into my chat to make them go off, and it's just little things, and I'm like,
yeah.
And I never tell them if I'm ever working on stream things, because I've had scare alerts turned on me when I'm offline on OBS headset on.
Oh my god.
Because they're gonna pop up. So it's like this very endearing thing, but also they are so like that. They're so welcoming to new friends, and that's what makes me really proud. Like when people come in, they're like, yo, I love the vibes, I love the chat, because I will very honestly say the biggest reason people stick around is because of chat. I'm always behind talking, so we have like mods and community talking to new friends, make them feel welcome. So it really is a very cozy, chaotic thing, and I think that's like the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Super sweet and kind, but like they will cause mayhem when they want to, and I can't do anything about it.
Yeah, and I feel like
I've created this space for chaos, so it's my fault. But yeah, it just legitimately feels like you're hanging out with friends, because they will be so nice and then roast you and then to make you upset in a fun way, but then make you cry in a happy way. So like
it's like
I'm
positive,
never prepared.
Positive chaos.
Yeah.
I think those are all the main like streaming specific questions that I have. Yeah, so I have some other questions that I guess wrote down for just kind of like you as a person, and where I like to start for that is, you can answer this as broadly or specifically as you'd like to, but what is your story?
I am terrible at this. like pick my brain. I'm so much better when my brain's getting picked at. Like for specifics, like I don't know how far back you want to go or anything like that.
I guess just kind of like I want to use summary, and I know that you said at the beginning that's not, it's
because I don't know what's interesting enough about myself to talk about. Because to me, I'm like, so I don't know what other people find interesting or like they would want to know. So I'm bad bad at intros and bios and things like I just cannot talk about myself.
I had a full I was making an acting, I do acting, so I was making my acting website and I had to write a bio for myself, and I normally am just sarcastic or self-deprecating, but I was like, I have to actually promote myself here, and I had a full-on just mental breakdown because I was like, what do I say? Who am I
Exactly.
have no idea. When I can't mask everything in sarcasm, I don't know what to do.
Same.
I guess,
It's been like my safety blanket is just like deflection memes. So you rip that away. I'm like, I have
yeah. I guess things that are fundamental to you and your growth. I mean, that's also kind of vague, but I mean, like simple things like, you know, where were you born? Did you grow up? Family, and what was growing up like? And
all right, I'm from Chennai, India.
Okay.
Which I didn't get to live there long. So I was there for like a year and a half, and then we moved to Jackson, Mississippi, which that my mom had never lived anywhere besides India, and that was a huge change. And that this alone, my sister and I have an older sister. We were pretty much just raised like aliens because my mom was super poor, one of 10 in India. That just nothing, just focused on school, didn't really have anything else she could do. And then my dad is 82, so he's so much older than me, and he didn't live in the US for like half his life. So when they settled in the US, it was just they had no idea how things worked. They didn't know like anything. So my sister and I, everything we did we did by ourselves. So it was kind of like we had to come up with our own identities. Like our parents didn't teach us like, oh, I love this band and this music. It wasn't like that. It went shows. It wasn't like that. So we were just blank slates. And somehow my mom got a hold of like a Super Nintendo, and that's where my love of video games started. But I had like I usually get asked questions like how it like being very very super liberal and tattoos and stuff like that, and being from India, how does that work? Both my parents are super supportive, because they had parents that would not be supportive of them. So my life was just doing whatever I wanted as long as I wasn't hurting anyone. So I was in ballet. I played like soccer and basketball as a little kid, and then like played with dolls. But also my dad like had little weapons for me, like machetes and stuff. So I got to really find out what I liked because of that, and that all my likes have been so consistent, and I am thankful for that, because I know a lot of people that grew up in strict households where they become an adult and they have no idea who they are because they never had the opportunity to figure that out. So my childhood was like swimming in ponds and playing with animals because we had a little farm, and then it turned into, oh, are you going to school?
Yep.
You safe? I love you. And then we like I would play with dogs in a little farm, and then we moved to East Tennessee, which is the home of Dolly Parton. So that was like a little shock. So I got experienced a lot growing up, and I think that kind of really let me know at a young age who I was, would help me a lot through high school, because high school of course is a nightmare. And it's consistently been like weapons, but then like cute things, and then sports, video games, anime, and then like really cool films. One of my first loves was actually acting, and that's why I moved to California originally, was for acting. It's just modeling is what picked up for me, and that I hated California.
It's a necessary evil. That's where I stand on it being a necessary evil for where
Yes.
I have to be right now.
You have to be there. And just my time, I lived there for 7 years. My time in California broke me, but molded me at the same time, because it was like, yeah, I'm very happy my foundation was solid growing up as a kid, because I would have got lost in California super fast. But yeah, I had a conflicting type of upbringing to where it's like, this isn't home. Like I would struggle with that a lot, where I was a little kid, I was like, oh, we're not from here, we're from India. Okay, so nowhere's home. Like that was a weird thing when we moved to Tennessee. I never wanted to live there, so I immediately want to leave. I was in California, nothing felt like home. So I've had weird complexes also because of my upbringing. felt very like an outcast because it was like you're not this enough, you're not that enough, or you're too much of this, you're not enough of this. So I have felt very isolated in life, and I think jumping on Twitch was a good release of that because I've been exposed to a lot of people that have the same type of upbringing as like me. That's like I'm from here, but I was raised very westernized, and the people here hate that, but the people there hate that, and I'm just here. And I don't know, like even down to my sexual identity, I figured out because of Twitch, and that's wild. That's wild that I went so long without even figuring out. But it took meeting friends who are educated on everything, teaching me like, hey, you know what is this? Like, but yeah, and I know like there are probably way more specifics I could talk about, but once again, I have no idea. I have no idea what's interesting when it comes to me. But,
yeah, I mean, all of that was very I don't want to, informative's not the right word because that sounds very detached, but like it was really interesting, and I think it said a lot about kind of like who you are and how you've become who you are, and I really appreciate that. I can relate to the whole, you were like you mentioned like not being this enough kind of thing, and like that's been one of the biggest things that I've dealt with growing up because I grew up in Dallas, Texas, and I'm half Asian, half white, so it's always been I'm too Asian to be white but too white to be Asian, and like it's this weird middle ground of like where
like,
do
no
I
one wants you no one wants you to speak on anything because you don't understand enough.
Like I don't have the proper perspective on it, you know, and that's something that I, you know, definitely resonated a lot, just because it's like it contributes to the imposter syndrome that, you know, I feel like I've just continued to have since birth. And but yeah, no, it's yeah, I get that, and it can be a lot to deal with, especially when there's no one you can necessarily like relate to with it, or you like you want to be in this community but you're not like that enough. And I've had the same kind of thing with being like I'm biracial, bisexual. It's like a fun little, you know, that kind of thing. And so, but then there's the whole thing with some people have that issue with people in the LGBTQIA plus community where it's like you're not that, and so you can't be. I mean, not all the time, but you know, there's gatekeeping sometimes, and so
yeah,
it's a whole fun mix.
Yep. With being multiracial, one thing is especially on Twitch, the amount of times my poor community has to yell at people with me, where I will get people like, how are you from India? And I'm just like, I got removed from my mother there, like I don't know what you want me to say. Or they're like, I don't see it, or you're lying, or something like that. And I'm just, because I don't look stereotypical to them. And then even on the reverse side, in like the Indian community, there's colorism. That's definitely a thing that's prominent in it, unfortunately. And then I've had to deal with it there, and it's not with anyone I've met personally. It's just community people online. They're like, stop claiming that you're Desi, like you're not. And I'm just like, I legitimately like look so much like different actresses in Bollywood. Like I don't know how to.
Yeah,
like there's range there, and people forget just because I have light skin and light eyes, like that does not take away that I'm Indian. Like I don't. I always feel like I have to have my birth certificate on stream for people just not to be annoying.
I think it's one of the most frustrating things to have someone invalidate like who you are inherently, and you're like, I know that I am, and I can't make you believe that I am. But like, yeah, I think the idea with like having to be like the stereotypical image of what it looks like, I think becomes a big issue that can be also hard to navigate, because I know I personally I'm afraid to be too loud about it, because I don't want to invalidate people who are, you know, I guess recognizably, you know, Asian, you know, or if I have some sort of privilege that I experience because I am a little bit more in the middle, I guess, you know, I don't want to invalidate that, but it's still like, this is still my valid experience, and it's still something that I deal with. And so it's that hard area of like, I want to express myself, but I don't want to overstep, and I don't know.
Yeah, I never feel like I can speak on a lot of things that like very specifically that Indian people have to deal with, because I'm like, my own community doesn't want to hear what I have to say anyway, because I have a light skin privilege. And it like that sucks, because then on the reverse side, I've dealt with so many people that like, what they'll ask me like what I am, and I always assume it's just because they're the South, they're curious, and then it's just to be like, go back there. Like
Yeah.
they don't know what I am enough to call me anything, but it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know what you are, but I don't like you. And on the reverse side, I have to deal with, you don't understand the struggles of, being XYZ thing because your skin's not dark enough to understand. I'm like I can't really do anything, and I definitely cannot be like, I wouldn't feel right, because I know there are a lot of brands and like Twitch and stuff, they're looking for people to represent like small spaces, and like I already was like, I know I couldn't do this because there's a lot of things I haven't experienced. I do have a weird unique experience, but it, like, as a creator, I've already thought about things like that, to where if people want like diversity, I almost feel like, because I've been so invalidated my whole life, that I can't be a part of that either. um and that's not okay, because if anyone else told me that, I'm like, no, this is what you are, your experiences are real. But then when I turn around, it's like, I don't feel like my voice is loud enough for this.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I don't think I can it, and I know it's so much because of what other people made me feel about my who I am. Like, for my sister and I, the only difference between us is she has very dark skin, black eyes. um and our experiences growing up have been worlds apart, because it was legitimately, we are the same, we have the same genetic makeup, but it's just been our skin color. And it's wild that's even a thing. But it has been exhausting.
Yeah. It's
That's an exhausting thing. And then it's just made me feel like, even though we have the same identity, she's more Indian than I am, just because of skin color and nothing else. And that's like the toxic roots that people have put in my head.
It's just so wild, because I think the thing that makes it the most difficult is that you can't even find solace just like in a community of people of the same minority, because there are still people within that will, invalidate your experience. And so it's so hard, because either way you go, there's some sort of like, you'll be treated as other by people who aren't, but you'll still be treated by others sometimes by people who are. And I think that's the thing that makes, I don't know if it's ethnic ambiguity or that kind of stuff, just so hard, because it's, again, that feeling of not having a home. Like, that's kind of how I would describe like being biracial, is that like, I'll never, like, I was identified by being Asian in high school when I went to predominantly, white school. I was like, that was my thing. That's how they referred to me. But then also, like, I came out to California, and it's like, I'm not a real Asian, And so it's that, I don't have a community that I feel like I can belong to. And it's that idea of like not having a home, like a group of people that for sure that you can be like, I know that they understand where I'm coming from, because it's that kind of middle experience.
Yeah, it's a very isolating feeling. And I've dealt with, like I said earlier, I dealt with that with like location. But then when you deal with that with like identity too, it's just, oh, like, I'm here for a little bit. Like, I definitely know now from high school, I was like, it's fun to be friends with someone who's not white, but like is also not intimidating. Like, their culture is not anything different. They don't have, like, I have the whitest name on this planet. So it just, like, I was a comfortable thing, so people could like feel better.
Yeah,
Like, hey,
like
I
a palatable
diversity.
amount. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's, that also makes me feel gross. And like, that's a big reason, like with brand work and stuff, is I would feel guilty if I ever got accepted into a diversity thing, because I'm like, all my life I have been that person to where like anyone that's any type of race is like, yeah, but like, you're okay. And I'm like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah, I had someone, I was an agent or something, tell me, they're like, oh yeah, you'll do really well in commercials because you're very, like, no one can pin exactly what ethnicity you are, so you're kind of all encompassing. And I'm like, I hate that. Like, I hate that so
like,
much,
that's
because
not a good thing, 'cause then
yeah,
you feel like you're taking jobs from
people
like, anyone else
who could represent communities way better than I could.
Then it's like you get really down on yourself, because I've had that happen in modeling, where it's like, no one can tell what you are. Like, come on, like, you're very ambiguous, let's go. Or I would get hit with, I'm not ambiguous enough, which that is a whole nother thing, where they're like, when we think ambiguous, we think like darker skin, darker eyes. I'm like, I don't understand that one either. But it's a thing where they're like, I know for a fact in life I have been picked or chosen for things because I am a diversity pick. and also given the very predominantly white area, it was easier for everyone to accept me, and that in itself feels like shit. Cause I'm like, that they just I got hit with the weirdest thing in the world. Like, what is this? Like, for my
Yeah.
sister, she legitimately, when she had like a government job, like small little government job there, they of course were very boisterous about what they're thinking there. They were excited to have their first non-black diversity hire, and they told her that, and she wanted to quit from that day because she just felt weird, like she should, because
Yeah,
they were excited to pick anything else, and I was just like,
it
that's
almost
not
immediately
real.
invalidates and discredits her level of intellect and her ability to get the job in her own right. Just because it's
Yeah,
like
so it
they leave it to, oh, it's because you're diverse. It's like a backhanded not even a compliment, but just like,
yeah, it's not even
yeah,
it's just
say,
like,
it's a way to let you know, like, we hired you because of this.
yeah, like we needed some more people here, and we're so happy that you applied. And it's that stuff like that. She is in a very small town in Tennessee, so it's like that is just normal talk there, and that's why I wanted to go so fast, and I left. Just did not want to go back. I don't know how my family still lives there, but it that's just such a normal thing there. So like dealing with that growing up, and then like going somewhere that's very diverse, and then just feeling like you can't join into anything,
Yeah.
because I grew up very westernized, so I had no culture at all.
Oh yeah.
um
Yeah.
so like I also feel deprived of that too, so it's been an odd feeling. I do feel extremely uniquely myself, but also I feel like I missed out on a lot of things that I would have liked to enjoyed, and I feel like it's kind of late in life to jump into, even though there's no limit on it. It's like I didn't grow up with this. Now it feels
Yeah.
like I'm an imposter in it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I feel like that's one of the other things is like, I feel like an imposter in being Asian, because I'm like, I'm not a real Asian, am I guess? Like, I'm not like, you know, like, I don't, the other day I literally, like, I saw like, it was clothing that said like Asian American Girl Club, and I was like, oh my god, I love that, that's so cute, like I want to be a part of that. And I literally stopped and I like asked him, I'm like, can I do that, is that okay? Like, because I don't know sometimes for myself, like, is it okay? Like, I feel like
it is, but then the way that people have made us feel is like it's not. Like, I'm so afraid to even try to jump and join into like Desi communities on different social media sites, because I'm like, do they want me? Like, are they just not even gonna take me seriously? Like, I because I want to. Like, I legitimately made a friend because we have the same experience. Like, we have the exact same experience with being like multiracial but Indian, and that has like I value her so much, because I'm like, you get it. Like, in my specific situation, like, it's identical. You get it. And I had a friend in California. She's 100% Persian, like the fairest skin, greenest eyes, and we clicked for the reason that we get it.
yeah.
Like, get feeling having to explain to people what we are, and then deal with them getting angry at us because they don't believe us. And
Yeah.
I haven't had to deal with it as much anywhere in my life like I had to on Twitch, though,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
Twitch is very vocal, and if you're not a stereotype, they get angry
Yeah.
that you're
Yeah.
not the person that they've never met ever, or
Yeah.
traveled to that area. They're upset that you're lying to them about
Yeah.
it.
It's kind of a weird, because I think that there's also like, I've experienced some of that, but then it's also like the idea that like, I mean, it's the ethnic ambiguity thing. So a lot of people will be like, what are you? Like, just like that kind of basic, like,
Yeah.
what do you,
Super blunt, just
yeah. Like, what if I asked you that? Like, how would you feel? You know, like, that would be so uncomfortable for you. Or like, you know, I have someone come in once and tell me that I was Korean. And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm half Japanese. They're like, no, you're Korean. They kept insisting, and they're like, speak Korean. I'm like, I can't. Also, like, I can't speak the language. That's a whole other, you know, like a whole other barrier. But like,
I feel that too.
I feel like, you know, I visited Japan like probably like 8 years ago, and I the other thing was like, I felt like such an imposter because I was like, I don't speak the language. Like, I feel like I should know this, and I don't. And yeah, it's one of those that I have on my list of things to do, but you know, the whole time management thing, I just haven't gotten around to it.
I legitimately have like Hindi on my list of things I want to learn because I just want to feel more a part of what I'm a part of because I only
Yeah.
speak English hardly, and I'll have a lot of I've had an influx of Indian viewers come through and they get really excited. They're like, "Oh, you're from Tamil Nadu?" Like, and they'll speak in Tamil. I'm like, but I never learned it. Like, I don't know what you're saying. And then I'm like, I feel like I let them down. I feel so bad
Yeah,
because they're excited to
it
finally
adds to
find like an
that.
Indian streamer, and
Yeah.
I feel like I need to give them more of that, and I can't.
Yeah, it adds to that the imposter syndrome, which I'm really really glad that I was able to talk to you about this. Also, just because it's something that for a lot of people and people going through this, like it's hard to find a space in which you can discuss it that you're not scared to
Gonna
say
get
things.
criticized,
Yeah,
like
yeah, and like being able to just
yeah,
speak your point of view as your unique point of view and understanding like it doesn't invalidate it that you're that you experience what you experience. Like I don't know, it's just it's a conversation that I like to have, but it's very hard to have it.
yeah, and it's because I'm a talk therapy person. I just like talking about things that are in my head, and it makes me feel better. And this is one thing in particular that on like my community, well, we talk about everything. We're so open. It's just I need like that back and forth with someone that truly has been in the same situation because that is what it like kind of validates the situation to
Yeah,
me because it's like the empathy is amazing. I'm so glad people are like, yes, that's shitty. But like when you've gone through it as well, and
yeah,
it's odd to just not be accepted. Like you to let people down because you don't do this, or to upset people because you do this. It's
yeah, or just because of like who you are inherently in your existence, and that's not okay. Someone telling you that like your existence is not okay or real. And it can be so. I don't know. I think just having the validation of someone who sees you and knows from experience what you've been through
yeah.
is it's validating in a way that I feel like at least I haven't come across very very often.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, my
It's
dog's
okay.
screaming.
It's okay.
If he doesn't stop, I'm gonna go grab him. Um, but yeah, I okay. Now he's barking towards me. I'll go grab him.
Doggo.
Hi, come here.
Also, I saw someone did something in chat. If you had a question that you submitted earlier, I missed it. If you want to resubmit it in chat, I will ask. Oh, a beautiful dog.
Oh, you were talking about how your vet told you your cat as a senior cat. This has just happened to me with him, and I am happy you felt this because I was angry. I was like, I never wanted to know that. Like, I
Yeah.
never needed because he just had dental surgery, and they were telling me they're like, oh yeah, he's a senior dog because he's older than 7, so that means he has to get blood work. And I just looked up. I was like, just take the blood. Don't tell me.
Yeah, I was like, information like I know my cat's older, I don't need verbal confirmation of exactly how old she had to
I
get.
don't want to think about my dog's mortality. Like,
Yeah.
please stop this.
Oh my god, one of my least favorite things on stream that I've had people do where they'll ask me how old my cat is and I'll tell them she's like 14 now. And then immediately after they either say how long do cats live normally, or something like, oh, like so she's like really old, she's not, it's something along the lines of like she won't live much longer kind of thing. And I'm like, why would you feel the need to follow up that comment? This is my child, like
that is
that's one of my biggest pet peeves because like I get very defensive about that because like I've had her since I was in 3rd grade.
that.
I don't need constant reminders of just the non-permanence of life.
Yep, that is. Nope, I still remember whenever I first got Casanova. Like, my mom, she's unique. But in this, she just does not. I don't know. The best way I can describe her, like to people from the US, my mom's just very foreign. The first time she looked at my dog, she's like, "It's so sad. You're gonna have to watch him die one day." And I was like, "I'm the one in therapy."
Yeah.
Like, what?
Oh my
What?
God, that's a whole other. My parents, like I do therapy, and it's helpful for me and I love it. But then my parents will say things and I'm like, have you ever considered just like talking it out in therapy? Like, it's really helpful, I
How do
promise.
you look for these signs? Because there are just some things, and I'm like, that.
Yeah, I
I don't
remember
know if I can
I
tell my
went,
mom to go to therapy, but like,
yeah, I I had a similar experience with my dad, and my dad's like he grew up in Wisconsin, you know, like he's very like he's not foreign at all. But I remember once I went to dinner with him, and we sat down, we're eating dinner, and I don't know why, like, he had good intentions, I think, but he basically sat down and was like, you're gonna have to prepare yourself because, you know, I think the next big events that are gonna happen in life is the death of your grandma and Maui, my cat. And I'm like, we're at a public place, like, I don't need you to come for my emotions like this. Also, like, I'm aware of the situation, like, I don't need a reality check right now. Like, it's just one of those that I'm like, I think I understand where you're coming from in telling me this, but one, we're in a public place right now and I don't want to cry, and two, why?
it's like, why have you done this?
Yeah.
Why have you ruined dinner?
I know. I'm like, all right, well, now I can't enjoy my pasta, but I'm ready, I guess.
And the dad's like, gotta get prepared. Like, I don't know. I feel like for especially very neurotypical people, I feel like when they're candid, it's just so oddly harmful.
Yeah, it's like, I understand it's like, oh, I'm being blunt and to the point, and I'm like, yes, being to the point is good, you know. I don't necessarily like beating around the bush, but I still think that there are ways to do it that aren't just so
delicate.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
you're gonna deliver this to me, like, do it gently, like, don't having to navigate that, because in the area that of course I lived for a while, mental health was not a thing. It did not exist. You were sad. Like, I remember I've had depression for so long. Wasn't diagnosed in high school, definitely knew I had it. And I was just really down, and people they could see it, and like their way of trying to help, like, truly, like, just want me to feel better, was like giving me little, like, Bible verse cards, and like truly telling me to go do things that make me happy. And it was just, like, I could not vocalize why that made me so upset at the time.
Yeah.
But once again, just the most isolated upbringing. Like, and I'm actually friends with people now that were in high school or like in the county, but I wish I was friends with, like, I wish we knew each other then, because it's like I had to put up with some, like, not fun things, because you're just sad. It's just this. It's like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, and that was just bad for my upbringing, which is why I like Twitch, because I will have big conversations a lot. Because I wish I had Twitch in high school. Like, I wish I was watching people and talking very openly about stuff, because we will hit so many topics when it comes to mental health. That is the one that's most important to me, because I deal with it so much, and I know I needed to know more about resources and signs and things like that when I was younger. And definitely not to feel alone in my thoughts, because it's like, it's sad to see how many people are like, wait, I am not the only one, and they're like in their 30s, 40s, 50s, because they're like, I have gone so long with suppressing this, and I didn't know, like, this is such a common thing, and it's not weird, or it's not anything to be embarrassed about. And I wish I had that, because I just was in my head a lot and super embarrassed of who I was on so many planes at that point, and I just needed it. So that's one thing I do like about streaming, is we get to hit some topics that I hope, because I have it. So if you're under 18, do not tell me in my stream, where you will get banned. But if there is someone like 14 watching the stream, they can be like, this is not okay. I should do this more. Like, this is okay. Like, because public education's a nightmare. They're not going to learn much until their developmental years are done, and that's when a lot of the damage has already happened.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, I went to a Christian school, basically preschool through high school, so I was in the same thing for my whole, you know, childhood, like same place, same group of people, basically. And I went through a lot of depression and stuff in high school. Like, it continued into college, but I think I had my biggest experience with it in high school. And I just remember sitting in like a high school counselor's office, and they were aware of, you know, that I was going through a lot. Like, my parents had tried to take me to people, and I was very angsty and I didn't want to talk to anyone. But I remember sitting in the counselor's office, and they told me that they're like, but this is just a part of God's plan. And that pissed me off to no end, because I was like, that's not helpful to me at all. Like that doesn't bring me any kind of mental benefit except for making me think, you know, the only thing it makes me think is like, okay, so I'm meant to be miserable. That's super cool. Like I love that,
like,
you know, like
okay,
God was like, you know what? Screw you.
Suffer.
Yeah. So no, I completely get that. I think that's one of my favorite things about streaming, especially as a just chatting streamer, because you're so community oriented and get to interact and hang out with everyone. Like it also like gives the opportunity for really good discussions and like you were saying, I'm so surprised that some people like didn't know that like you don't have to always feel that way. Like that's not normal.
Yeah.
And that you shouldn't have to just exist trying to make that work, you know? And just the fact that like finding other people, even just for myself, like finding other people that I have, you know, that I can relate to and be like, oh, like I'm not alone in this experience. Like even that makes it a little bit better. It's like making the weight that all of us carry a little bit lighter and knowing that it's not just us.
Oh yeah, it's like the Spider-Man meme. It's like, you,
yeah,
yeah, okay, and then it's just, it feels better just knowing you are not alone in how you feel because people have made you feel like you're alone and how you feel like that. Oh, that has been super frustrating. And just hearing other people's experiences with things that I haven't when it comes to mental health, I'm like, this is a lot. Like I do wish I was way more knowledgeable in high school because my brain will go back to people that I knew that had it bad. Now I know what it could have been, and now I know what could have helped them at that time. So because I have no idea where anyone is now, but like it made me feel like I failed in high school over something I didn't even know yet. But the open forums are one of my favorite things. That's why I keep going back to just chatting.
Yeah.
But usually on like the next day I have like an emotional hangover and I'm like, we're gonna chill on stream today. Like I
keep it relaxed and light.
Everyone's trauma. I'm like,
yeah.
Oh my god, I could never be a therapist. I could never like hold all this forever and actually like learn to help because that's the thing. Of course, we cannot give any like diagnosis or anything like that. But it's always I want to help somehow or the default. You should go talk to someone. But in my head, I'm like, oh god, this sounds just like this. Like oh no.
Yeah, it's one of those I had considered for a brief minute when I was looking into like what am I going to do in college and I was thinking like, oh, I'll do psychology because I want to do like therapy. I want to help people. But then I was like very quickly I was like I'm like an emotional sponge. So I take on everybody. Like when I hear stuff, it like impacts my emotional state and I'm like I would not be able to handle that. God forbid I work with someone and you know like you lose them. Like I don't think I'd ever recover from that because it's like it would be that feeling of like I failed them. Like that was my, you know, and there's no way of, you know, necessarily tying that, but like I just know that I could not take on all of that and then have the ability to also separate myself from it.
Let me just not use words. I always think about, I love psychology. I think just having the most basic understanding of it helps you as a streamer, especially dealing with trolls because it's so,
oh my god, yeah, I was just gonna say
it's the easiest thing to deal with because you can just pinpoint personality type, know exactly what's going to shut them up and they will never come back. I wish everyone would take like an entry course of psychology before they start streaming. I feel so bad for people. Like I just don't know what to do with trolls. So, like I will legitimately type out something for them to say, like just regurgitate out to a troll because I'm like, say this, they're gonna leave you alone. Like if they're saying this, say this. But going back to like the therapy thing, there are times, and I want to know if this happened if it's happened in your stream where like if people are sharing a lot, there'll be a new person that just kind of really drops something heavy. And it's in that moment I feel super awkward as a creator because with psychology, I'm like, yeah, I know this is not true. I know this is not true given the context, given they've never been here, they don't follow, they don't do anything. They're dropping something to join into the conversation, to get any type of good energy from chat, and I'm like, I don't like that. I will skip over it. Like I won't read out loud. I won't ban it, but I'll just kind of let it go unless it's super triggering. Then I will get rid of it.
That's one of my, I mean, and sometimes like I feel like sometimes it's troll type people as well who do stuff like that where they're like they've never been there before and they come in and say something about how they're, you know, going through some sort of like really bad, dire situation. And it's like, I don't want to say that that's not immediately true, but typically when I see people come in like that, I'm like,
There's a pattern to it.
yeah. And that is probably the thing that pisses me off more than anything else. Like, you come in here and tell me that I am ugly or sound like a dude. Okay, cool. Like, whatever.
We'll
but like,
move through that one
I was
fast.
like, it's easier to, you know, dismiss. But then the other one, like, when you can see so clearly that they're preying on your empathy and the need to help people, that's, you know, like, I have zero respect for that, and it makes me so angry.
And just fumbling around, like, I have the hardest time dealing with it because it's like we are in a real topic. I know people are wondering why I'm not getting to this one.
Yep.
There are a lot of, like, you know, veteran viewers that they see that they're like, don't read that. But it's like I can't even stop stream to explain that.
Yeah.
Given cues, they just want the reaction from the streamer. That's not okay.
Yeah. And it's one of those, like, how do you explain that to chat without seeming like you're, you know, like detached or like being insensitive, you know? It's like, because you say one thing incorrectly in an explanation, and then it's going to come across the wrong way, and not everyone's going to understand where you're coming from.
Taken out of context, and it's just you're the bad guy while someone else is being the bad guy.
Yeah.
And it's...
Oh my God, yeah. No, that's one of those situations that I never know exactly how to explain, but that's the exact kind of situation that, like, it just, it's so frustrating because they either win and they get the attention that they want, or they win because you're turned into a villain. Yeah. You know, like, it's a win-win for them for the most part. It's such a delicate, difficult way to navigate, you know, like, find the way to figure out what to do about that situation as a streamer.
Yeah, and it's definitely a thing that I'm glad at this point a lot of my viewers know that psychology, I can see I love patterns in anything like math, science, nature, all this stuff. So the brain stuff, normally, especially when it comes to really opening up, people are not going to just drop a trauma bomb. They're not going to do that.
Yeah, typically they want to get more comfortable and yeah.
I've had, like, people that are brand new to a stream, that stream kind of say something like, hey, I've never said this, but it was a lot of, wait, is this what this means? Like, it's a lot of, like, you see them legitimately, like testing the water, like,
and and adjusting, and
I feel comfortable. I kind of want to say that, and it's never anything huge like the random drops are.
Yeah.
But the random drops make me so upset because they feel the mood. They've been sitting there for a while. They're gonna say, like, oh, this happened, this happened, this happened.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh,
especially when it's like the first message, just that you're like,
yep,
no introduction, no hello, no, yeah.
They hope it's just like going into chat, just so low key. It's that one's frustrating because you can't call them out, and then you definitely can't go about it, so you just have to hope it disappears and hope that, like, chat doesn't just like, oh, you missed one up there. It's like,
I'm like, you just pray that no one says anything, and it just goes, and you can move on to something or go to some other tangent or topic so that it's not that's a hard one for sure. I super asked for people to repost their questions, and then I completely missed them again. So if you have them, and
I
you
do
still
that
want
all
to
the time.
if you still want to ask, go ahead and resubmit that question. The topic of the night, general nonsense, just kind of everything, anything and everything. Okay, so the first one that I saw was, what would you change about Twitch?
How much time do you have left on your podcast?
And that will be the topic for the evening.
Got a 3-part series.
Yeah.
Transparency with the creators on the platform. That is the vaguest one I would give. Just transparency. Outside of that, I don't know. I just know whoever is making decisions for Twitch has never streamed. They have never gone live in their life because this stuff does not make sense to me.
Yeah.
We'll get hit with we're out here to protect the creators, but then harassment triples and nothing's being done. We had the trans tag denied because it's asking to get trolls, which is legitimately the same thing as telling a woman to cover up because she's asking for it, which I cannot believe that ever happened. But instead of keeping these creators safe in their space that they're making for other people to feel safe, they're saying, we're not going to give this to you because you're going to get harassed. We won't do anything about the harassment, but you're going to get harassed. There are ways that they can make sure that the most toxic people never come back to this platform. They don't do it. Um, a lot, going back to transparency, a lot of my viewers never knew that Twitch takes such a huge sub cut.
Yeah.
Like they don't know that. Because it's not listed there whenever they sub or gift sub. So I've had people are like, well, I don't want to do that anymore. Like I feel bad. Like they feel cheated out of their money. So of course they're not going to be transparent about that. The biggest thing for me is the harassment though. Like the things that I've had to deal with personally, things we blatantly just watched with Black History Month just passing through.
Oh
like,
my God, yeah.
People getting doxxed, people getting swatted, people having wellness checks called in on them. And that's just been in the past month. Like they have the best thing that's happened is automod works a little too well now. Like that's the only thing I've noticed is more likely than not when automod goes off, I have to approve it. Not like it's actually catching things that should be caught because there's still stuff going through that automod's not getting. I don't know, keeping the creator safe, being transparent with them, actually holding up their word, not making the dumb decisions, maybe having like actually taking things to the ambassadors that they've picked and seeing if it's a good idea or not, since they picked them to be more of a voice for Twitch users. I would that just them actually being consistent across the board, being transparent, protecting the creators, because I am so scared just to like open my window when I'm streaming. I'm afraid to even give any detail of any location that's next to me. Like most of the time I'm going somewhere, I won't say anything about it till the next day. Like the way that people can find your information and they can just drop it in chat, they can just drop your address, and
the fact that people do that is just it's just so disgusting to me, because I'm like, that's someone's life, you know, like you like
really don't care.
Yeah, that's why so when I made like Ayayoshi in itself is like, it's what I go by, but it's also like a stream name just because I don't, you know, like when I made it, I was so hyper worried about, because like I don't know, I'm not saying I'm like important enough for someone to like come after me, but it's like I just want to protect myself just in case, because you never know. You never know who's gonna do what. Like, you know, the internet is a terrifying place, especially being a female, because, you know, someone gets an idea in their head and they go after it. But there seems to be almost no protection for the creators. It's kind of just like, oh well, here's an auto mod and the rest of it kind of like fend for yourself. And it just it just kind of blows my mind that they'll go in and put an effort to like give people like, oh, here's an unban request option that you have now, so you control get banned and then submit an unban request, but you can't, there's not additional protections for the streamers themselves.
And especially when they keep like saying they're gonna do things and then they don't. Because I've had to deal with a death threat. One of my mods had to deal with a death threat, and this person's still on Twitch. Like we have reported them to Instagram and to Twitch, and they're on the top of my mind right now because I have people that, you know, if anyone like really strikes you out, you may take to Twitter. Like, do they exist? Like, are they a problem to anyone else? And apparently this person I'm referencing has been such an issue that people have searched their name on Twitter and they found my tweets about them, and they're messaging me like, I'm dealing with this person, like they're doing this exact same thing. How are they still on this platform? Because my tweets are like a year and a half, 2 years old. Like they're still there with proof of them saying like graphic, disgusting things. They're still on the platform. They're doing their thing, which is just harassing and then being graphically violent against female just chatters. And it's so disheartening to see it happen to where like you have people of color being bombarded with slurs, and like Twitch can't do a better job at banning these words and variations and usernames and stuff like that. Like they can't do that. They can do all these other things for ads and stuff, but they can't just add a better algorithm to this. When you experience it over and over after being told otherwise, like you don't take whenever they say something, I'm like, that sounds nice, but let's find out in the next couple of streams if it's going to work. I truly wish Twitch was run by people that streamed and not like some people that think they understand what streaming
Yeah.
is,
Yeah,
because they
absolutely.
don't know the stuff they're putting out. Like today on Twitch Twitter, everyone, like including myself, was upset because I saw that you could refund a sub
Yeah, I
within the
saw
first
that.
10 minutes.
That's
And apparently it's been a thing, but because there was a lot of streamers like, hey, don't mention it, you're going to encourage trolls. But the thing is, that option has been there, and the most frustrating part is there's legitimately the option to say like, I just wanted a shout out,
yeah,
now
that
give me a refund. Like,
they're encouraging people to use it for that by having that option. Like,
apparently they get penalized after a certain point, but someone could come through and 200 subs and be like, I just wanted a shout out. And they can just go back into they got to be the hype person, they got all the attention they wanted, and now they can just call it back. Because
yeah,
donos were the biggest. I got hit with a fake dono before, and it was $5,000. And ever since then, any large dono from someone I don't really know that's like not part of the community, I don't touch it. Like it stays in PayPal. I
Yeah.
click when I got the dono, like I'm ready for a chargeback.
yeah, and you have to be prepared. And I had it happen with like, it was like the rest of a dono goal that I had at one point. It was like 137 or something. And so someone came in, they donated it specifically the exact amount that would do the rest of the dono goal. And the next day they're like, I was drunk, I meant to do $13 or whatever. And I had to go through this whole dispute process with PayPal. And I was able to show them like, here's them in chat saying like, oh, they wanted to finish the goal. Like I was able to submit stuff, but I had to go through this whole process to be like, they did this on purpose, you know, like
They were fully aware of what they were doing.
yeah,
And I love that PayPal understands, so that happens a lot. So they're like, hey, if you do it,
yeah,
you don't get it back. Like
yeah,
there's proof, you don't get it back. Because it hardly means anything, but even in mine, I have like no refunds on my
yeah. I mean, I
thing,
feel like
because
every streamer has to put that there, but
people still ignore it, but like it's there, and then you can send that to PayPal.
Yeah, that's
People
part of the
always
terms
try to
and
be
conditions.
malicious.
Oh my god, yeah, no, that's one of those other things that people do that I'm like, it sucks, because then it's another thing where I can't just trust everybody and celebrate everybody as I want to, because I want to be able to be like, yeah, thank you so much, like that's such an amazing, you know, and give all of my appreciation. But now I've become skeptical of like, is this legit? Is someone just trying to troll me?
Yeah, that choice not there, because it's a fear, because like they just want that attention. They're gonna call this back. I had a subathon to raise money for my PC 2019, and someone came through like near the tail end, and they were being very showy, and they were just donoing big amounts until it hit. And it was after the first two that I stopped being excited, because I'm like, they're obviously loving that chat is really hyped right now. These are huge donos. Like, I don't know this person. I think they just want attention, and I wasn't excited anymore. And then behind the scenes, like Brandon and the mods were like searching this person. They found them, and it was like a legitimate person. Their job was legitimate. They're like, "Don't worry, I do this." I'm like, that seems like a brag. It ended up being real, but it's like after a bit, I wasn't excited anymore because I was scared. I was like,
yeah, it takes the joy out of like what should be like a moment of celebration where you can be excited about it, and now we have to be scared because we're like, are we just getting played? Is someone just messing with us, and we're gonna have to deal with a shitstorm after?
Dollars in chargebacks, like
yeah, and that's the other thing.
What am I have to do?
If the chargeback goes through, then it screws over, you know, the content creator, because then you lose money because you have to, you know, it's yeah.
So I don't like the things that Twitch does, or it encourages, because they just want their money grab, and it's so obvious. Like, it's getting so just much more obvious with how much Twitch has grown, and they're just ads, subs, hype train. Like, it's a lot. It's a lot to deal with. Especially, I am the person who deals with guilt whenever I get any type of monetary support, because I'm like, I'm talking and hanging out. Like, this does not feel like it's deserved at all. So when hype trains go off, I'm like, we ignore it. It's fine. Like, at one point I had it set to the highest thing, so I'm like, it won't kick off. Like, it's fine, but it will kick off. And people like the trains. I'm like, I don't know what to do, because you want your badges, but also I don't want you guys to feel forced to complete a hype train, because it's Twitch's like bits and subs only. You can't do it with donos because we don't get those. So it's just always conflicting feeling.
Yeah. Cowboy sent me the other questions. I'm not just looking at my phone. I just can't open
Oh,
Discord
no,
because of my screen capture, so I
fine.
don't want you to think that I'm just like reading my phone. Let's see the next one. Okay. Question for both of you. If there was one thing you could change about your stream for the better, what would it be? This is another how much time do you have question for me.
I changed the streamer. What do you mean? Easy. I don't know. You would for me, it'd be legitimately, I just wish I had more energy. I would stream twice a day.
Yeah.
I like streaming at night, but I'm not known in the night crowd, so then it's like no one expects me to be there. I like streaming all the time. I have to sleep. Like
Yeah.
That would be mine. I just want more energy. I feel like I could do better for stream.
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel like sometimes my energy is just so low, and then I feel bad because I'm like, I don't want you to have to sit here with me not being as much as I can be.
Yeah, like I want to make you feel good, and I can't do that if I'm just like,
yeah.
what's up?
Yeah, I'd probably have to agree. I think that'd be a big one. I mean, I don't ever necessarily know what I want to change, but I know that I always want to change stuff. So like I'll set stuff up and then immediately be like, okay, wait, I hate that. I have to like fix everything. I just want it to be, I don't know, I guess cooler, better. That's not like a specific like
It's hard to be specific since like streaming is uniquely your content. And if you don't know what your content can be yet, like you can't figure it out until you figure it out, and that little paradox is a nightmare. So like if I just had more energy, I would try things more often. Like I would spend more time offline figuring things out.
Yeah.
But instead I will raid, I will sit here like this, I'd be like, have fun, and then I will disappear and I will not look at my screens for like hours.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
been days I forget to turn my computer off because I won't come back in here. I am so tired.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, energy would help me.
Yeah, I'll end
Figure
the
out
stream
what I
and then just
do.
immediately just like shrivel up into half a human. Because I'm like, okay, that took all the rest of the energy that I have for today. I'm gonna sit and question my whole existence with the rest of my energy. Let's see. Okay. The next one I see is, how much do you think Twitch has helped contribute to your own knowledge or exposing you to new concepts or ideas to bring more, or to being more accepting or less ignorant?
I can only give Twitch credit for having the platform because it's people in it, but I have grown so much as a human because of streaming and like joining in on friend streams because you know, my little happy bubble growing up and then being exposed to the world, but still not being exposed to the world. Like, I have gotten to hear about people's very specific situations, given whatever it was they're going through, or something when it comes to their own identity that I never have experienced and I'll never experience. And it's eye-opening, and that has made me a better person in general because I'm just like, this is an experience that people have, and I've been ignorant because I didn't know about it, or I've just never been exposed to this or this or this, and now I am, and now I'm learning. But I have learned, and I've corrected myself so much because of streaming, and then being in different communities and having a very diverse community has taught me a lot. And I can honestly tell when I step away from Twitch, if I'm around people that are just nowhere around Twitch or exposed to diverse people, because they'll say things, and I'm just like, the fuck did you just say?
Yeah.
Like, how did you do you not understand this? Like, let me explain this to you. But yeah, Twitch has made me way better. Like, if I wasn't on Twitch, I don't know, one, what I would be doing right now, but two, I know I would not be where I'm at. And I like where I'm at, and I want it to keep growing, but I would be so many steps behind still.
Yeah.
Twitch has definitely been good for having the platform for me to be able to speak with people of so many different life experiences.
Yeah, I think that's kind of one of the neat things is, you know, because it's so accessible, you can meet people from all over the world, all different walks of life, all in one area. And I feel like that's not exposure that people normally have the opportunity to have, just because, you know, if you grow up in the same town or you live in you you're only particularly exposed to that kind of stuff. And even with social media, like you're gonna have what you see is what you're gonna have cultivated from what you know, and I think that Twitch gives a different avenue to like expand. Like I never really used Twitter and stuff before I started streaming, but then through that, like I started following different people through Twitch and through, you know, and like I feel like I've collected such a diverse array of perspectives, which I feel like is so important, because a lot of people have a tendency to be like, all right, this is where I am, I'm content with where I am, I'm not interested in anything else or any other opinions. And it's such a limiting way to live. Like you have no, how can you expect to be empathetic or sensitive to other situations or begin to even understand anyone else if you don't have any sort of other perspective presented to you? Or how do you then also grow firm in what you believe if you don't see potential challenges against it? Because then one challenge, you face one challenge against it and like everything crumbles because you don't know how to back it up.
Yeah, I agree. And that's, of all the shit I will talk about Twitch, like my overall experience has been amazing. And besides like the people in my life, one of the biggest things I'm grateful for is like the exposure to people. Because like you said, when you're on social media, you're like, what you already know is what you're taking from it. Like you're not getting that sit down, this is what it is, let me explain it, like, oh no, that's not quite correct, it's more like this. Like you're not being tweaked and fine-tuned to learn it better, you're just applying your limited knowledge at the time.
Yeah.
And I like the live back and forth for that reason. So I don't really do YouTube or anything like that, because I bounce off of people. Like
yeah,
I could do scripted things, but it's not as fun. It's
yeah,
not
I feel
as
like
just going
so
with
much
it.
of what's exciting about Twitch is getting to interact with people in real time. Like YouTube is one of those, I've had people be like, no, you need to expand your content, like do stuff for YouTube. So at most it's like I take what I've done on stream and I put it there.
Yep.
But like otherwise I'm like, yeah, I mean, I do enough of that with like acting stuff. Like I can memorize lines and do that, and like that's cool, and like it's cool in its own right. But I feel like with my involvement in, I don't know if I would consider this like content creation, I guess for me it's about the people and getting to have discussions or, you know, like respectful debates, I guess, on different things.
Yeah.
And like you said, bounce off of other people, because I feel like also we work off each other's energy, which is also why I had been wanting to do a podcast, because I feel like this allows a different kind of bouncing off each other's energy, at like, you know, getting to actually talk to
live
someone.
bouncing off. Like it's not just reading chat. Like I actually get to like sit back and listen and absorb information instead of like feeling like I need to fill the silence with my voice.
Exactly. Yeah. And I feel like it's a good place to also, which is why, you know, I have the whole thing about it, like we have questions, but it's about, you know, kind of whatever happens, because I feel like the stuff that comes up with people is stuff that's important typically, or they have a strong opinion about. And it's also another way for me, especially in a pandemic when we're stuck inside, we can't go out into the world and meet new people. It's a way to meet new people and hear new perspectives, despite, you know, current restrictions and everything.
Yeah, I agree. It's nice. It's nice to have conversations with people that are not Brandon.
Yeah, I know. It's like I feel like to expand my, you know, I talk to my cat a lot, and I talk to, you know, Dom when he's here and stuff. But I'm like, I feel like I need to. I felt I had finally hit a point in my life before the pandemic, because I was just about to graduate college, that I was like ready to go out into the world and meet people and make friends, which is not me. I'm super shy for the most part, and I don't go out and do stuff. And then everything hit, and I was like, okay, never mind, I guess. But, you know.
All right.
I moved here, like, it's been just a little over a year, so, like, late February, and then it was 2 weeks, and everything just went straight to hell. And the plan was, like, finally, I'm gonna move to, like, streamer capital, I can meet all my streamer friends, we can hang out, meet, like, more
Yeah. I feel like the second you're ready to start doing something, the world is like, hey, hold on, let me just like mess that up for a second.
Yeah, like it kind of worked out because I focused so hard on stream, but like at the same time, I will get people in chat like, oh, how do you like it? I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I really like my apartment. It's cool here.
Yeah, I moved in May from where I was in college to a different area in LA, and I was really excited about the area when I was looking at everything, and now I'm like, okay, well, all of this is closed, I can't go eat, like I can't like there's too many people outside sometimes, and that makes me nervous, you know. So like my nice little, you know, lofted studio, it's pretty all right in here. I added all my lights. I put all of my energy into like adding all the lights and setting all that up, and so like a lot of my energy went into stream, but which was, you know, helpful. But yeah, no, I don't know anything about the area really, except for I found a coffee shop that I like, and that's pretty much it.
It's always good, yeah.
Yeah, I've got one place that I like, that I know of. I think there was one more here I missed. Oh, what's the hardest thing about the technical side of streaming that no one talks about? I was gonna say audio, but people talk.
I was gonna say
that.
audio.
Yeah.
It's always audio.
Yeah, I feel like every issue I've had is typically some sort of audio. I've had camera issues with my capture card sometimes, because sometimes it just doesn't want to work at all, which is cool.
The Elgato capture card, because I got rid of mine.
Oh really?
Yeah, I think that might be why mine didn't work on Discord, but I just have two $20 capture cards because I could not stand how many streams I would go to start. I'd be 10, 15, 20 minutes late because it's like, what do you mean capture card? I don't know what you're talking about. Like, it just would not work.
Oh yeah.
To the point I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I don't know why their software is so bad, but I switched out because I'm
yeah, I know there's a bunch of times that I've just sat there and I'm like turning my camera off and on and like plugging it, unplugging it, thinking that maybe that'll fix it, and sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, it's not like it was never a thing that fixed it. Like disable, enable, like unplug, replug, and then just all of a sudden it's like, you know what, I'm gonna start now. Yeah, that was my biggest issue past audio because it happens so consistently. But yeah, if something's gonna happen, it's going to be audio for me. It's like an anomaly just hits my mixer. It's not as loud. It's too loud for the day. I'm like, I'm not touching it, so I don't know why it's doing that. Of course, you sit down after a break and you forget to unmute, and that happens.
Oh yeah.
That'll never stop happening. Audio is the worst.
Oh,
I don't understand audio.
I don't even know. Yeah, I was like, I don't know how to fix it. Like because I got a new microphone recently, and I got a Go XLR, so I've been using that, and like it's been nice because I've got like switches and stuff I can do, but half the time it doesn't even work, and I have to like go reconfigure the whole thing, and I don't even know where to start with that. So I'm just like, all right, guys, audio's gonna be weird today. That's what we're dealing with.
Yeah, that's just it. That's gonna be how it is. A big one for me, which this is uniquely me, has been lighting. From the start of my career to this very moment, my lighting has been a nightmare. I just could never have the right light, the right lights, and I did it. I used nano lights in front of me, and then my receiver died, so it's just on a like one of their standard loops.
Gotcha.
But that's why it turns blue. But every time I figure out lighting dies. It does something. It's gone. It's not the same, and I just lighting, audio, Elgato software.
Oh yeah.
No. No.
I think I've got these big light boxes in front of me. The one thing that's really like, they're nice as far as like steady lighting. The one thing that's really annoying is that they take up a lot of space because it's like a light that you use in a studio because it's a giant softbox. So then I have to have my whole setup like pushed back from the wall enough to have that fit in there. And yeah, that's one of those. It's, you know, like to figure out exactly the right lighting, or, you know, like my nanoleafs keep disconnecting from the app. And so I want to go back in because I need to bring the brightness down so that you can see the color and not just like white light. But they keep disconnecting from the app, and then I have to reconnect it, and I mess it up every time. And then once it like got rid of all my like predetermined like light settings and stuff, and so I was like, I don't want to touch it. I'll fix it later. I emailed Nanoleaf, and they're sending me a replacement. Like, I just had to send a video of why it was broken. Apparently, because thank you, Reddit. If anything goes wrong, especially with the connector, if you email them and you have like proof of purchase, they'll just send you a new part. And I was like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah, that's how I fixed it.
Yeah,
but
I was gonna say,
I feel with like the lighting, I've struggled with it because I'm also very aesthetically driven. So anything that like looks clunky or doesn't like just look perfect, I don't want it. So I've been through like ring lights and little floodlights and stuff. So it's like, nanos, I'm gonna use nanos, and actually worked for me until it did that. But yeah, because lighting is so important to me, and it's why I focus too much on it. But for the first time, nano leaves have actually shown what I look like, because ring lights make me just translucent, and like with nano leaves, like I can see my skin tone a lot of times
Yeah.
in my streams. If I like backed up or something, people are like, oh my god, you're tan. I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
I have a ring light full blast in my face right now, so I don't really look tan. Um, but my that is a huge issue I have in general. Though besides OCD, just I always want things to be picture ready, so when they're not, like my cable management is insane, because I'm like, I don't want to see a cable. I don't want to know they exist. I'm going to pretend everything is wireless. But the problems that causes for me, like, because I'm like, if I want to change my monitor orientation, I have to take everything
Yeah.
apart
Yeah.
and do it again. And I have recently done that, and that's okay. So if you see me like glance up, it's because the actual screen is above me now.
Okay.
And I will do it again probably. I'll probably think of a different monitor orientation that I want, and it's just going to be the cycle. But I will keep everything to where I want to post it, because that actually became some of my content, was like stream room stuff, setup tour. But it's not done right now because changing it. But that has been a thing that I think actually helped. Like as a different tangent that's helped me as a streamer has been grabby attention stuff. So when I switched to a better camera, that got enough people to come through, because like, what are you using?
Yeah.
Like what? Why does it look like it's better than my eyeballs? That, and then colors, because humans are simple creatures, and it just it works.
Yeah, if
Even
you have
just
a
sitting
grabby
in
enough
golden ratio,
thumbnail.
that has helped. Yeah, and I try to tell like newer streamers that, because like, how do I get more viewers? I'm like, when you figure it out, please tell me. Because the thing that's helped me is just a really appealing thumbnails. Whenever I'm scrolling, it's usually lights or background that will pull my attention to a stream, because I'm like, oh, I like that. Or if I see some like a little Pokemon toy in the background, I'm like, oh, they like Pokemon. Like it's personable and pretty has been the thing that I've noticed has worked. And I know not everyone, because especially when I first started streaming, you can't focus on stuff like that for the
Yeah.
longest
Oh
time.
yeah.
You gotta work up to pretty things for stream. When I first started streaming, I had a mattress on the floor behind me, and that was it. Like I looked like I was in a holding cell. There was nothing on the wall. It was just mattress on floor and laptop on desk. That was, I did my time.
Yeah, it's one of those that because people are like, when do you decide when to like buy nicer stuff for stream? And like what my rule of thumb for myself has been, at least, is like I reinvest what I've earned from streaming into my stream equipment. So I'm like, if I can, from what I've earned, pay for that, then I feel like I can at least justify it. You know, like I've earned enough for this
definitely
upgrade.
the way to go.
And that way you don't get ahead of yourself, because I think one of the things that I feel like people have probably done it at some point is they just pour all of their money into it. They get the nicest possible stuff, but then they haven't also, because one of the other things that happens with growth is like you get adjusted to it and you get a feel for it. So then you're left with this really nice setup, but also no idea of like, who am I as a streamer? What do I do? Like, and you have to have that core concept of yourself before anything else, I feel like.
Oh yeah, I agree. I'll have people asking me like, oh, I don't want to use a webcam anymore. Should I get that? I'm like, no. You need to know that you love streaming. Like you need to know that you love streaming before you invest in equipment. Like everyone starts off on their like little webcams, but you have to do that, because a lot of people like the idea of streaming, but they don't actually like streaming, and you don't want to drop a camera setup for not knowing what you want to do. Like if you can, like do it, but I would never ever recommend anyone doing that. Like the very first piece of stream equipment I bought was a super beat up Blue Yeti mic from eBay, because I was like, it was one of my first Twitch payouts. I was like, oh my god, I actually got one. And then I just turned around and got a mic, because I was open mic in a laptop, like just no headset or anything, just the mic of the laptop that's somewhere located on the outside of it. So like, yeah, I need to work on audio, and that was my first big purchase. And I think in order of operations, at least for me, like it was needed. I didn't have a gaming headset, so I didn't have like a mic to use. And my iPhone at the time, like I couldn't plug it into my laptop, so I was like, oh, okay, mic. And then from there, I got gifted a Stream Deck, and that changed the game.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness, I can't. I couldn't stream without a stream deck. Like I would, my my stream would be so choppy because I would go to say something dramatic and then you'd see me like go over here, like click zoom.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, no, I feel like I have a clip of me a while ago before I ever got a stream deck where I was trying to do like a zoom, and I do it like 5 times from like, and this, and I like click it too slow because it's on my mouse and on my, you know, OBS, and like I do it 5 times, and at the end I'm like, okay, I got it. And like watching it now, I'm like, that wasn't even it. Like, and then now with the stream deck, if I want to zoom, I just click the button. I'm like, all right, here's how I punctuate my sentence, and it's just so much easier. It makes it just a lot smoother. Or like if I change to like a like one of, I've got zooms for some of my stuff on the side, and so like if I want to change to that, it's so much easier because you press a button and it does it, versus all right, let me scroll through all my scenes and there, okay, yeah, there we go. And
yeah, just that ease of use, because I'm not the biggest Elgato fan, not the biggest, but I love the stream deck. Like
yeah,
anyone that streams, even if you're brand new, I don't think it's bad to invest in a stream deck because it's gonna make switching through scenes a lot more just, it's gonna be fluid.
yeah,
Because I
yeah,
fumbled trying to find scenes and remember where they were at. Um, but yeah, I just, going back to like recommending setup stuff. There are so many people that just want the pretty setup before they know their content.
yeah,
And I was working on my pretty setup before I was even sure with my content, and things a lot of times felt like a waste because I'm like it. I don't get it. Like these things are looking better, but like I still don't know what I'm doing on stream. I will never recommend anyone do it. It's expensive anyway. Like you shouldn't want to do it.
Oh my
god! You should be like, the business expense, I suppose. Let's go.
Yeah, when I got my camera, I like clicked buy, and I like was like, oh, okay, I just spent that much on a camera, and then I was like, it was like good and bad because I'm like excited about the quality upgrade that it's gonna do. But then just the sheer like price that I invested in that moment in one piece of equipment that I was like,
I've never spent so much money like I have on stream. It is an expensive hobby.
oh my god, yeah. I like when I moved and I spent pretty quickly anything that I had gotten as like a graduation gift from people like post grad on, you know, my Nano Leafs. I got all my like Philips Hue lights. You know, I had to get a new desk when I moved because the one that I was on was, you know, not really designed for streaming and stuff. And just like I went through, I was doing taxes and I went through because I was writing down all like business expensive things that I like had spent on stream, and I was like, did I spend this much on stream this year? Like, did I? Because I hadn't looked at it all like listed one after the other, and it's one of those that like I kind of in the moment I'm like, okay, I did this because I want it to be better for the people who are here, you know, like, and I want, like, I can justify it that way because I'm like, I want to improve it to the best of my ability to like, not like as a reward, but like as a way of being like, thank you for being here and watching my content. But then at the same time, there's that part of me that's like, have I ever spent this much on anything ever before? No. By far, no.
I have gotten a few times like the question like, oh, how much does your whole like setup cost? And then one day I was like, I'll add it up for a stream. I'll do that for another time. And then I did. I was like, what? Like, when did that happen? Because it seems so sporadic that I do it. That it's not like the number never sticks in my head. But I
it's like the increments of like you improve little things here and there, and like little things like when you improve and you get lights and stuff like Nano Leafs in themselves, and then if you want to buy anything during the pandemic, like you got to add all of the prices, you know, price increases that are happening with just all technology.
It was hard to get a hold of any stream equipment the last year.
Yeah.
I had the mic I'm using right now was a gift for my birthday, and I did not get to use it until I think it was like August or September because I could not get a mic, like a mixer to use it. I was just sitting with my old mic, and that one was in the closet. And I was like, I can't use you because everyone they're at home. They want to like where they're sitting. I understand. So do I. So they're all working on office setups, music setups, streaming, like anything like that. And it's just everything was gone. I was so happy the bulk of my equipment was done, but a lot of it got put on hold because it was just
I was looking to get an additional webcam so that I could have like a pet cam for my cat, And webcams are insanely expensive right now. I mean, they've been expensive since the pandemic hit, and I was like, I just want to wait for it to like not be as expensive, but I don't know when that'll be.
Yeah, because everyone's online now, so everyone's like, I have to buy a webcam to do work or school or anything. And I'm just like, I'll look at my C920, I'm like, you're gold.
Yeah.
But I'm not getting rid of you, like you're, because I'm like, I don't know, I could be just super extra and have like a third camera angle, but also I should get like slapped if I add another camera angle to my stream.
Yeah, I have the way that I have it set up is I have the camera that I use as my main, but then I have a C920 that I use as like an alternate angle, and then I've got a Brio actually up there, which I could detach one of them, but I already have them, like I've already like predetermined their purpose of like, all right, this is what the scenes that I like use them for. So I'm like, I don't want to like detach it, because then also, you know, the whole cable management thing where I'm gonna have to pull everything apart and like,
yeah, be sure
not,
you move it.
yeah, I'm like, it's not ultimately worth it to me. But yeah, it's a process.
And that has been a big challenge for me. It's just getting the feel right for a stream, and then also working with two cameras, because I'm like, a chat hears me like yell about it all the time. I have two very different lenses, which means they cannot be lit the same, but yet they're right next to each other. So my main one looks the best, and the other one is just. But I like having a wide angle, because I feel so like boxed in.
Yeah.
In this, it's so tight. So I can't back it up further. Like it's as far back as it can go, but it is the most annoying thing to even complain about, because I'm like, oh, I have two cameras. It's so difficult to move around. But I do love it. It adds a different feel to the stream, and that was a thing that I really wanted, which was like, if we're having talks and stuff, I like this angle, but if I'm like morning, I have coffee or something, I like switching to the other angle, so it's not in my face, or if I'm eating food, you're not just watching me eat food. I can hang out and the whole room is in view, and that feels better. Which I think that is something that a lot of people don't also think about when they start streaming. Like, if they haven't dealt with anything with cameras, if they haven't done any type of production, they haven't been a part of anything like modeling, acting, or producing anything like that, you don't think about what mood and angle sets.
Yeah.
And that's why I like the two, and I honestly would not hate a third, because it could open up just a whole different part and in more content. But I didn't know for the longest time I had a very chill stream, so I needed that angle to help it, because it just, things weren't right until I had both. Like, I like both. One just cannot exist without the other now at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's something I never like consciously thought about, but like the mood that your angle sets up, you know, like, and the way that it's just a completely different feel. Like if you have something like way above you versus like something kind of like on eye line, eye level, or God forbid if someone wants to put like a low camera,
like uncle on Facebook angle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but it's like, it's kind of interesting because like with streaming, I feel like there's a lot of different skill sets that go into cultivating a good stream, you know, like you mentioned, like having experience with like camera angles or lighting, and understanding that like the psychology behind it, the psychology that goes into streaming of like, you know, also like lighting, color, and kind of what tone that it's going to set. And I've never really thought about it in that way, but like you have to be, I used to be like, oh, like streaming, being good at streaming, it's like, you know, I just talk or whatever, but you have to be very multifaceted to do it and do it well, and understand like the things that you need to do or the changes that you can make that would help or help establish your stream.
I agree, because I specifically like, I like the colors, but like I stick with 3 colors because they're calming and relaxing, but also just like not chill as in relaxing, just like they're just cool. And that sets a mood for how my streams go and the natural feel you get to it. So I like using that as like, come here, tiny little moths that are on the explore page. You want to feel relaxed and cozy? I have the colors. You want to click here, and then you're gonna pick up the vibe from that. And then on the reverse side, there are a lot of like people that, you know, go hard on games. They stick to like electric yellows and like reds and bright greens and stuff, because it that hype vibe comes in, and
Yeah.
there's probably a lot of people that could like they're not even conscious that they're consuming
Yeah.
that color for that reason. So like I can't sit here with yellow on
Oh
and
yeah.
when everyone's relaxing, they'll be like,
Yeah.
"What's going on?" But yeah, the angles do so much. Like it, whenever I was doing my setup recently, I was just fighting the cameras because truly my wide camera angle is not where I want it. Um, but this one is my main one. So like it had to be perfect. Like I moved my monitors around this camera. Like everything works around this one because I can't do direct eye contact with my stream where they will freak out, but also if I stay panned out too long, it's not the same feel for like the big conversations. Um but there's so many things like, and I think that's one of the coolest things when you get to meet other streamers and kind of you can pick up on tiny things that they're keen on, or you know, if they're not even conscious that they're keen on it, like what they bring or their personality or their bits of knowledge comes out into something that really works for their stream. um and like the mine's being aesthetically driven and just that tiny the babyest understanding of psychology, that's what's helped me the most. um but the things I've seen other people do are just dope, even with camera angles, just how they just work with who they are is a very cool thing. And I will use that to also help newer streamers not feel discouraged with their content, because you got to figure yourself out and also not compare yourself to anyone, because no one's
Yeah.
going to have the same content
Yeah.
unless they're just trying to yoink it. um which that brings up so many things, which like I want to help as many newer streamers as I can, but I feel bad because I'm like, my experience is very uniquely me and I don't know where I can actually help.
Yeah.
Just you know, like the simple things like don't expect anything, stream because you like it, and that the rest is up to you. Like I can't help you. I can't help you from there.
Yeah. I mean, and so much about it is like you learn a lot about like setup and stuff that looks good from other streamers, but at the end of the day, you really can't just like carbon copy like exactly what someone did for your stream because it works for their stream. It's usually because they took something and molded it to what their stream is.
Exactly.
Like
Yeah.
you learn from people, but it's about learning things and being like, okay, that's cool. I like that. How do I make it something for me that works for me? Because if everybody had, you know, like two people could have the exact same setup, but they have different personalities, you know, and so it's not going to necessarily work with what they want and what they're trying to create.
Yeah. And my my poor communities heard me complain about like not this one but my old one so much, and to them like they loved it, but I felt so out of place in it. I'm like, this is not right. Like this is not right because it didn't feel right to me, and I was just, and a lot of the decisions I had made were like, hey, I really like this in this person's stream, I should do something similar, but I didn't let it like simmer. Like this is not the feel that works for me. um Now I have a 5 foot beanbag to the left side of me that I don't know what to do with. um but yeah, it's unfortunately it can, you can make very expensive mistakes
Yeah.
when it comes to streaming, and that
Yeah.
I hate when I've done it so many times. um but it's worth it whenever it feels right, because it's just a little cherry on top of your content when it all
Yeah.
just pulls together and it
When you
almost becomes
figure
like a
out,
brand.
yeah, yeah. I when
Yeah.
I first started streaming, I went through a couple different overlays because I was like, what do I want? Like, I don't know what I want for my stream, you know. And so I had my overlays at first were like super basic, you know, just what I figured out through Stream Elements because I had no idea what I was doing. And then I made a couple different overlays because I'd see stuff that I liked, and I tried one where it's like small square camera on like a big overlay that's got a lot of oop, I just hit my microphone, but a lot of chat and a lot of like notifications. And I was like, I don't like that either. And what I ended up with was like very basic. I literally just have like a bar at the bottom and like some scrolling notifications. And I was like, this is what I like. You know, I don't want too much on my screen because for me, it's about me interacting. It's not about like a bunch of a million notifications everywhere. And, you know, just kind of figuring that out. When I found what worked, it was like I don't know, it just clicked, and I was like, this is what I want. Like I don't need too much. But I tried a couple different things because I was like, oh, this looks really cool, and it did, and it worked really well for their stream. But when I tried it on mine, I was like, no, like this isn't what I want.
Yeah, I went through the same thing. Like I had very like I just want to Google like free Twitch overlays and so just clunky like metal looking stuff on my stream that just had dipped in poison. And then as time went on, like things were removed from my screen, like I kept taking stuff off. And then it got to a point where I did the same thing. I'm like, I took chat off the screen because I'm like, I just don't like seeing it. It's super distracting when because
Yeah.
I have like multiple monitors open and they usually all have chat. So I'm like, things are scrolling on me
Yeah.
in different directions, and the space seems very full.
Yeah.
And I went with like transparent bar because I saw one of my friends was like, oh, I like that idea. Like that's super clean, and I did it, and it feels right because it's not like thing up here, goal over here, thing down here, thing down here. Is like you need to see something, it's gonna be like
Yeah.
on this bar. Other than that, like nothing's gonna scream at you besides an alert, probably.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I came to realize about, I had chat up on my like on my I guess screen for a while when I first started streaming, and then the other thing for me was like it was aesthetically clunky. I didn't
Yeah,
like it messed up. I put so much time into making everything kind of like neat and where I want it to be, and then I just like that was there, and I'm like, and now I have to move over to a weird amount so that I don't like, you know, I'm not blocked by it. And
yeah, and then
yeah.
it like anything in your background, like you almost want a blank space.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
not like you can customize chat enough to make it fit whatever your aesthetic is. Is like
Yeah.
you get these really specifically odd looking chat boxes or just plain text. Like you
Yeah.
figure it out. So I'm like, okay, it's gone. It's,
Yeah.
chat's gone.
Yeah, I think one of the other hard things about figuring out overlay, at least, is most of the things that you can get that are like either free packages or pre-packaged stream transition, whatever. It's a lot of like very gaming, like a lot of it looks the same and a lot of it's gaming oriented. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like not the aesthetic that I want. But then I'm like, I don't know how to make what I want because I don't have that kind of like expertise. And it's like, you know, that's the other thing that's been really difficult is I've been looking into trying to find different transitions, or if I wanted to revamp everything, where would I find that? And I looked on like Fiverr and stuff, and it's all
Fiverr's such a disappointment when it comes to like things you need for just chatting, especially.
Yeah, because it's all just like gaming and like the metallic stuff that you were talking about, and like greens and reds, and yeah, and it all looks the same in my opinion. Like I feel like a lot of the gaming overlays and stuff, they're very similar. And I'm like, that's not
have to have something hyper customized, and even then they're gonna stick with like the same theme, and it's color blocked. It's just color blocked. I don't know where to look for very like aesthetically pleasing things. Like I've tried Etsy. There's a lot of good things there. Surprisingly, there's like emotes and panels and stuff. But I feel like for the streaming overlay, like the accessory market is either gaming or like kawaii. Like it's
there's no like aesthetic in between, and like that's what I'm kind of like, you know, like I don't know like how to describe what I want exactly, but I know that it's not quite kawaii, you know, and it's not gaming, but
yeah, and that's why I removed so much from mine, because I'm like, clean, minimalistic, yeah, like but no one is making the things, and I feel like a lot of people like that are kind of in our boat are like, well, I'm gonna figure out how to make it or something, I don't know. I had to battle Photoshop. I don't know how to do any of this stuff, just constantly on YouTube to be like, how do I make a translucent bar, like how do I do this, how can I draw a straight line? I don't know how to do these things on Photoshop, but I'll do it because I'm like, no one else is, and I don't know how to commission someone to do it, because I've done that. I commissioned someone on Fiverr for a very simple idea. Like I had someone stream that had an overlay, someone like something like this, but this and this, and they gave me clunky gamer looking stuff, and I was like, I had a community members like, hey, I can do the thing you want, I'm gonna do this for you real fast. But it was just like a translucent haze, and they gave me color blocked, like no opacity, no haze, and I was just like, here's your money, thank you. Like I just could not even say, this is not it. Like this is, I was never so upset about something like I was, and that was the last time I used Fiverr, because I'm like, everyone's kind of turning out gaming stuff really fast. Like I don't even know if they fully understood what I wanted because they're so used to a certain look.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why I feel like there's a big space for like graphic designers and stuff. They're like a potential big space if anyone knows, you know, how to do that, that are able to, because I feel like it's that autopilot versus the even like an element of psychology. Like if you look at the person's stream, you'd be able to tell like this would not go here, you know, like,
yeah.
And a willingness to have a designer who's going to like recognize that and be like, okay, you know, based off of like these clips or like just a little bit of like the stream, like what would fit the personality plus like the description that you give. And yeah, that's one of those like, because if someone went to your channel, they would see like clunky gamer probably isn't what they're looking for and what would fit the energy of the stream. But I feel like a lot of people are like, all right, this is what I do, gaming, you know, like this is what everyone on Twitch wants. But so if anyone's a designer and like wants to fill that
like,
void, like
this stuff.
Yeah,
because like panels have been that I've never figured out panels. Like I bought some off Etsy, I'm okay with them right now, but like that one's tough for me because I want it to flow, but they're all, you know, very clunky. And then I want very specific type of panels, not like Facebook, just PC specs, this. Like I want very customized stuff. So I'm like, I don't know where to go for that. So until then, I will just regurgitate information at my stream and hope they retain it.
Yeah. I mess around with Photoshop every once in a while to just make a new panel, and it's the same thing. They're all simplistic and not fancy. And I never, whenever I finish whatever I have for the panels, it's usually like, okay, I guess this will work. It's never anything that I'm excited about. Like, you know, like I'm like, this is a good placeholder and I'll fix it eventually, but I don't know what to do with it right now, kind of thing.
Yeah. And all my friends that have really cute panels, they are artists. They just made it themselves. I'm like, that is apparently the only move you can go with. That makes sense.
Yeah. That's one of the many
I couldn't
times.
articulate what I wanted. Like panel wise, I still don't know what I wanted. Like I would send someone to my stream, give them my logo and be like, go. Like do something, because I can't explain what I want.
Yeah. I'm like, because someone will be like, okay, so like what vibe are you looking for? And I'm like, I don't know, like my vibe, like something that fits me, I guess. Like that's the best that I can offer. I don't know how to explain it, but I know what I don't like, you know, like I'll see something and be like, that's not right, but I can't tell you what is unless I saw it, you know.
And we can't find it anywhere.
Yeah, it doesn't exist. It's I'll find someday someone will pop up and they'll be making exactly what we need. I hope. Let's see. I do have a question here. It's this question for both. Best thing that happened in the past year.
I have two things. One is just I hit a very comfortable level of financial stability that is, you hope will happen at some point, to where I am finally not super stressed about money. And that is, I hate money, so this is a cool thing that I don't have to think about it as much. My second one is I kind of like, I got closure for myself recently, and because of that, I just feel so good, because I've been going to therapy, always knew what was going on, like what was happening in my head, and I finally got closure for a thing, and I've had instant relief. And then like when I came back after my mental health break, it's brain is just working like I feel like it should have been. I'm not crying all the time. I'm just good. Like I'm doing very well. So my two favorite things is just being comfortable financially, because that in itself helps mental stability a lot. And then just closure and feeling really good afterwards. That has been my two favorite things.
I'm trying to think what happened in this past year, because I feel like it's been really long but also really short.
Yeah.
I graduated technically within the year span of time, which was cool. I mean, we didn't get a graduation or anything, which was kind of a bummer, but I did it. Like I finished, which was nice. I actually, something that was good that happened is out of college, I was able to get a manager. So that's something that has been able to keep me a little bit sane
Yeah,
and
that one's
hopeful.
amazing.
Yeah, so that's been a positive. Like, I'm still working on getting an agent, but having a manager has been a good thing because it's been, you know, getting me continuing to like do things, you know, like either it be like audition tapes or suggesting classes to take that might help me, you know, develop and grow still. So that's probably been the biggest thing. I will say I'm fortunate in that I only had the end of my senior year in pandemic, because I would prefer that than, I just feel for anyone who's starting as a freshman during a pandemic, I feel like that's way worse, you know, like I still got most of the social experience of college, versus, you know, a lot of people who are just starting, it's all from home. How do you make friends? How do you connect? Like I just, my heart goes out to people starting, you know, or even if you're still like in the middle of it. But I feel like I missed a lot of like the lasts, you know, like a lot of the last events, or even getting to graduate and walk across the stage. Like I missed that, but I recognize like it could be worse, you know. I still got a lot of the experience and the core things from it. So it double-edged sword, but I graduated. I did it, you know, I'm done. So that's a good thing that happened. I think there was another question. Even if you decide you aren't going to stream, would you say Stream Deck is worth it for non-stream purposes?
I would think so. I don't really utilize mine outside of stream, but like I should, because I will fumble around and try to find things. Um, I think if you use a lot of different applications, or jumping from website to website, or like you switch to games fast, it's nice. Like I still think it. I wouldn't recommend it as highly. Um, but I think you would very much enjoy like messing with it, and the ease, just the ease of it. Like you can just sit down and be like, you could pull up like 5 websites with one button, and that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Actually, I need to hook that up because I have pinned tabs that I typically use, and sometimes they just get like delete, or like my browser will just like get rid of them. So I can set that up and then just reopen them all really easily. But yeah, I pretty much only use it for streaming as well. It's great for streaming. I'm sure you could find, if you were more creative than myself with it, you could probably find a lot of really good uses for it outside of streaming.
Oh yeah, mine. Probably my favorite thing, and this is stream specific, is I have a stream button. I hit that, and then it opens up all these other buttons where I hit one, it opens every website and application I need to for stream. So like I'll get dashboard pulled up, and Chatterino, Discord, OBS, and then from there, like once everything's set to go, and I hit my go live and I step away, like it. I recently took this off. Before it would post my my Twitch and say that I was going live. It changes my Twitter name to say like live with a little red circle next to it, and it mutes my mic and then starts OBS. And at the end of stream, when I hit it, it changes my Twitter name back. It mutes my stream, and then it kicks me offline.
That's really nice, because I always forget to change my Twitter name back from live.
Because I recently took it off because I was like, it will post, and then I would always post like a selfie, and I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to take the time to do that anyway, I will just post it myself, so I'm not double posting. But prior, it was nice just to be like, oh, now all I have to do is post on like Instagram or something that I'm going live. But I just like when things are easy.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like
very nice.
Taking away a lot of the complication of starting a stream, I feel like is really nice, and I didn't even know that it could do all of that as well. So I'm learning stuff too, which is super cool. I'm gonna
multifunction is beautiful. It'll let you stack.
I'm gonna look into that because I need to. That would be fantastic. It makes it, because I'm usually running to start stream because I'm always still like finishing my makeup or eating or something. So it's nice. It would be nice to be able to like, all right, I like, while I finish getting ready, I can click this button. It'll get it all set up, and yeah.
It has helped me so much, because for me it's snooze. My alarm goes off at 4:30 in the morning, and I'm like, you know what, I'll sleep for another hour. And I'm like, oh, now I'm late. What am I gonna do every single day with the schedule? When I like when makeup's done, I will just pop in here, turn on computer, hit buttons, leave, come back in. Like if I need to fine tune anything, because sometimes my settings, like if there's a Windows update, it says OBS, yeah, I'm gonna mess with that. So I just make sure everything's okay, and then just live and leave, and it's And then also I never have the fear that my stream is still running, because it's like we're at the end of stream, hit the button. Like it's done, everything's kicked off, and if the worst, if it never kicked off, I always, turn off my cameras and it mutes my mic. So like that's always been a fear, but it luckily has never happened. I've never left my stream up after I've ended.
Yeah, I feel like I've gotten better about that. I had a couple of times that I forgot to end, or when I first started streaming when I was on my Mac, if you click enter, it starts stream. Like if you click the enter key on your keyboard, it starts stream.
Oh.
I had so many different times that I accidentally started it because I'm typing in a different application and I click enter and somehow it registered like, all right, we're gonna start stream. And I'd be on and I'd be doing stuff, like not at all paying attention to the fact that I'm on camera and people can see me. And then someone, like, finally I'll notice and someone will be like, hey, like, do you know that you're streaming? And I'd be like, yeah, that was just a test.
Oh my God.
Yeah, those were some, because I, like, when I'm doing my own thing, I'm less animated, right? Like I'm not always, I don't sit at my computer like with peppy energy or whatever when I'm just doing stuff. And I'm just sitting there. Yeah, like blank face, major resting bitch face, just doing whatever. And yeah, that was bad. Streaming on a Mac laptop do not advise it. It was a bad time. But yeah, that was probably my biggest issue. I think I have another question. Oh, what would be the dream setup?
I don't know, but I want it to be mine that I'm working on right now. I want that to be the answer. Like I need that mentally to be the answer. I don't know. I feel like I could achieve my dream setup if I didn't have to work around cameras. Because then I could do whatever lighting just made me happy. But I like my monitor orientation. I did 2 on top and 1 off to the side.
Okay.
And that's the move in my opinion if you have 3 monitors, because I don't have to like scan the horizon to look from monitor to monitor anymore. I can just bounce my eyes and that's feels better. But
yeah, that's nice.
I don't know if I'll ever have my dream set up, because I don't think I'll ever be happy with it, unfortunately, because I'm always gonna see other ones that are gonna inspire me. I'm like, oh, I could do this, or this would look better, or I'm sure I like it more like this. But right now it's becoming the most functional one that I enjoy.
So do you have your camera then underneath your monitor?
Yeah, it's peeking in between 2.
Okay, gotcha.
Which is not my favorite, because I would like the monitors to all just perfectly line up and touch, especially for like cute wallpapers and whatever.
Yeah.
But if I was to like do a post about my setup, I would just drop the monitor in front of it, because it would just look like I had 1 camera.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
All that matters. But yeah, it just perfectly about 3.5 inches of monitor up, and I'm just
I got a 3rd monitor for my birthday this year, and so I was trying to figure out what I'm gonna do with all of it. And with the space that I have, I had to do kind of like like 3 in a row, but I've got 1 vertical because I'll put chat there.
Yeah, designated chat monitor, love that.
Yeah, it's so nice because like I turn the font up a little bit, so it's not too small, and it makes it so much easier to read and keep track of.
Oh yeah,
I think the first time I actually saw that used was on Brandon's stream, because
he's the reason I have one.
Yeah,
it's like, God, that's so smart.
Yeah, I saw that the first time and I was like, I like that. So when I got the 3rd monitor, because they're all different sizes, because I think one's like 32 or 34, that's the new one, and then I've got a 27 inch and a 24 inch. So I took the smallest one and just did that vertical for chat, but it's so helpful. It makes such a big difference.
I was about to take my setup down to 2 monitors, because it's like I had 2, and then the 1 I was like, it's taking up some space, and with the 2 cameras I can't put them where they need to go because monitors. I can't, like, as soon as you hit another monitor you can't take I need that designated chat one. I need a designated like multimedia one, and then my OBS window.
Yep. Yeah.
And I
don't know how, like, it sounds so, I don't know what the word is, but like
just whenever I like explain like, oh, I can't do without a 3rd monitor, I could use a 4th. I'm like,
I can't remember what it was like to not just have chat, OBS, and like additional whatever else, like I don't, it's so much more organized. I did I went to go help my mom take care of my grandpa, so I was on a temporary setup on my laptop and an additional monitor, and I was like, how did I do this? Like, how did I stream just on a laptop with one screen? Like, you know, like, I don't know. Once you get used to it, it's so hard to do anything else.
And because there, I have dabbled, at least with the old setup, with a fourth monitor idea. Because I'm like, when I play games, though, it's like I like having my dashboard open in case it stream drops. I'll never know when I'm playing a game unless I see it. But then having game window, chat window, and media windows, so I'm like, I'm insane. I do not need 4 monitors, but I can't do anything less than 3 now.
Yeah. I've thought about a fourth, but then my thing is also because I've got these giant, you know, lights there, so I'm like, then I'm gonna block the lights and
work around. Yeah.
Oh my god, it's like both fun and stressful problem solving, because like when you find something that works, it's so satisfying. You're like, oh my god, this is exactly what I needed. But if you can't find it, you're just sitting there like, what do I do? How do I make all of these pieces come together in one? Yeah. I am going to actually, what time is it? We're at 3:14, so almost like 3 hours in. I'm going to just ask if anyone in chat has any additional questions that they want to throw out there. Now is the time to get them out there. I don't want to keep you too long either, because I know I want to make sure that you have time to exist, and I'm the worst at losing track of time, especially on streams. Like if I'm just chilling and but I want to make sure that you you know, have time to do you as well, and I don't want to keep you too long. I have most of the stuff that we talked about, I was not on any of the questions, so I have other things that I can ask as well. I feel like there are a few good ones. Cowboy wants to know, if you had milk and cereal, you know, if you're pouring a bowl of cereal, which do you do first?
You pour it in your mouth and then you put the milk. I'm just kidding. You put cereal first and then milk. My sister puts milk first and then cereal.
The only way that I do that is if I ate the cereal and there's milk left in the bowl and I put more. Yeah. I don't.
You gotta do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, she also bites straight into Kit Kats. Like, she doesn't break them.
That's chaos of.
She made her Twitch name Dipped in Chaos. So like, yes.
Oh my god. Yeah. No, part of the Kit Kat thing is like you have to break it. Like you have to break it apart.
In the song.
Yeah. Oh
those are the directions. Yeah. I know she does something else, but it's like, I don't know. Her husband's like, had I known that one, I don't think I would have married her, because he's like, why does she do this?
Yeah.
Why?
Like, you can do that and not like, if you can do that and feel okay about it, there's something we need to look into.
She didn't know it was wrong. Like, the only thing I can be like, okay, so like going so far back, and I was like, we were raised like aliens. We had to figure out everything. We never had cereal. Like, that was if we spent the night at someone's house and they had cereal. So like, I'm gonna fault it to that. The Kit Kat thing doesn't make sense.
That's just an anomaly.
I don't know that one.
If you had to describe yourself in 3 words, how would you, like, if there were 3 major traits about yourself, you know, like how you would define yourself, what would those be? I know it's another summary question.
Let's see. If you have yours, go ahead, because I gotta think of every word that exists has eluded me.
I ask this question all the time, and I don't actually know if I have an answer. I guess, like, if I was describing myself, I'd want to say empathetic. All right. Creative. And I don't know if I have a third word. Driven, maybe? I don't know. Like, so I feel like that would be a way to describe myself.
I'm definitely empathetic for me. Plus, I'm trying to think of the right word. Like, I don't want to say, like, fiery or feisty, but, like, some type of very aggressive energy. Maybe aggressive. Okay, yeah, aggressive, empathetic, and then... Ooh, what would be another one? Curious.
That's a good one. I like
Yes.
that.
I just so many just flashbacks. I was a why kid, like why, like just I just want to know why this thing, and that has to continue on. So if anyone's explaining it to me, and it's not even it was sometimes it'll come across aggressive. I'm like why, um, but it's more like I just want to know why.
Yeah.
I want to I want to know how this thought or thing came to be or is. Like I need to know for my own sake. Be it empathetic, aggressive, and curious.
I
It
like
that
that.
makes sense.
I
I
feel like
can be
that's a
like
good,
aggressively empathetic and
yeah.
or aggressively curious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a good I don't know, like a good variety too.
Yeah,
Let's see.
I feel complex. Like I know humans are complex, but like I have a lot of conflicting personality traits. Um and I feel like a bit of the empathy, like it just brings out to like really kind and soft and gentle, but also I can take even those things to an aggressive, like I love aggressively, like
Yeah. Yeah.
like love language. Like what are some of your love languages for giving and receiving? Because I am all of them. Like legitimately I am. If I feel like I'm lacking a love language, that's the one I want. If I feel like I'm not giving someone I love a love language, that's the one I'll give. Like I'll definitely acknowledge what other people's love languages are, and I'll cater to that more. But for like my, I guess like almost like selfishly, what I feel good giving love language wise is all. It has to be a balance of
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm curious. What are your love languages? Because I that is one of my favorite things to know. Because I think it helps you like build any type of
Oh,
relationship with someone
absolutely.
better.
Yeah, I think mine definitely fluctuate depending on either what's going on in my life or kind of like what you're saying, like what you have, what you don't have. Um, Definitely fluctuates. I think, yeah, I guess it's hard. It's definitely changed over time because I used to be really big on receiving words of affirmation just because I think that's one, the perfectionist in me, and just the way that I grew up, I feel like
Need the
never,
validation.
yeah, needing the validation to know that I was doing okay. I it still means a lot to me. I think I lean in more into giving words of affirmation as opposed to receiving them, just because I've also, I don't want to say like I'm old and jaded, but like receiving words of
You need
affirmation.
actions with
Yeah,
them.
yeah, because
Yeah, yeah, same.
I've seen the instances where you receive those words and then they're empty, or or they're hollow. And so I think it's that, but with also some sort of follow up, whether that be just like the quality time or like acts of service. Like one of the sweetest things that I use as an example is like, if I'm really really tired, my boyfriend will be like, all right, go get ready for bed. I'll do the dishes and stuff. I can't leave them because my cat will try to lick all the food off them. But so, I have to do them every night. And so he'll be like, no, go get ready for bed and I'll do them. And like, that's just such a big thing to me, because it's like, just like being aware of like my needs and being like, okay, you're tired. Like you go get like, I'll handle it, kind of thing. And like, that's really nice. And,
Yeah, those things hit like
yeah, it seems like a small thing, but it's such a big thing to me. Just like, because it's not just the act itself, it's what was taken into consideration to decide to do that. So that's kind
I'm
of,
a small detail person for that reason. Because like for me, I got super jaded from like grand acts. Like it was only the huge things, and then that just ended up being empty. And for me, it's the tiniest attention to detail or the smallest act that could go unrecognized is like that is something that I will hold on to forever. Because like really, when you're tired, just you dread doing anything. So for someone to without asking, just anticipate that, be like, hey, I got it. It's like you mean what you say. Like you legitimately care because you see that I'm troubled or I'm upset, and you're just making it a little bit easier. Like that is, and I think like love languages were very similar with. I was a huge word person for the reason that I just did not get validation unless I did amazing. So I always wanted it. So if I didn't hear it, I'm like, I'm not doing amazing. Like that's not okay. But then it was, well, I can't just get the words. Like if you're trying to tell me that you care, like it's more than that. Like it's words plus something. Um, but yeah, I wish I knew about love languages more when I was little. Because even like friendships would have been a lot easier to tend to because everyone needs different things. It's not like, one size fits all for any type of relationship. So it's a good thing to know. And I talk about that a lot on my stream because a lot of people don't know love languages and stuff starts making sense. Like,
Yeah.
especially if you have very opposite love
Oh,
languages.
yeah.
Like, it's harder, but like you can work around that with another person.
Yeah, it's such a good basis on cultivating relationships because like, I like one of my friends that I am the absolute closest to, she's my best friend in the world. I met her in college and we were roommates, and the thing that worked is that we knew how each other were, like she knows that I'm very introverted and sometimes I just need my space, and I need to just not talk. And she like respects that, but then also she knows that sometimes I will wall myself off, like if I feel stressed or if I'm overly anxious, and she knows, just the ways to reach out and be like, hey, like let's watch an episode of a TV show, or like let's go grab like ice cream or something. And like the little gestures and understanding are what I think strengthens relationships, because then, on the flip side, knowing how she is, like, I know, oh, she's got an early morning the next morning, so I picked her up coffee, so she has it all ready to go, kind of thing. Like understanding. And I feel like that just, when you understand each other like that, the relationship is so much stronger. And like those are the ones that I feel like last, because you not only know about the other person, you care enough to make sure that even if that's not how you typically give and receive, you work with that and you give them something that works for them. Like if they're, I was never really a big, like, physical touch didn't used to be one of my main things. That's partially because I grew up in like a very repressed Christian culture, so I was like, don't touch, don't be near me, like, and so like learning that, or like, if someone just wants to sit next to you and spend time together, kind of thing, like making time for that, even if you're more oriented towards like gift giving, But for me, I think overall it's the thought behind it, because like I'm a big gift giver as well, because I'm the kind of person where I'm like, I know my best friend likes elephants, and like that's one of the first things I learned about her. And anytime I'd see anything with elephants, I'd be like, oh my god, I have to get this for Maddie. Or
Yeah.
And the same thing goes with even like memes. Like that sounds like silly, but like when someone sends me a meme, they're like, I thought this made me think of you. It means a lot to me, because it's like, me, like, and you were thinking about me, or that kind of thing. I think it's so much about the thought and caring.
I love all that because it sounds so much like my best friend, and I learned how to be a better friend through her, because it's just like she effortlessly was just the perfect friend for me. Because I would do the thing where things are bad, no one hears from me, I don't respond to texts, you don't know I exist anymore, like I'm gone. And she would just, hope you're having a good day, and just give me my space. And it feels like, when I explain it, like when you're trying to gain the trust of a feral animal and you're like, I will leave this food right here, you eat it if you want to. It was like that. So she's like, hey, have a good day, or I know things are rough, like I hope you feel better. And then like a day would go by and I'd be like, oh hey, da, da, da. And then it slowly got to the point to where like she would just send memes to make me happy, and I was just like, that's kind of funny. And then it got to a point where she would do that and I would respond with like just laugh or something, or that's really good. And then it just slowly got to a point, because I was just really going through it when she met me, that I'd be like, yeah, today's bad. And I never had done that before. Like I never just said like, I'm having a bad day, because it's like something that you suppress until it was gone. But it's like, yeah, today's bad. And then it's just after some time, it's like, today's bad because this and this. And then I just slowly just opened up to her a lot, and it just went from there, because she was just being a good person, and that was like the person I needed. Because I always had people that were like, tell me everything that's going on in your life, we're not that close, but like I'm going to be your friend right now. And it's like, I don't want to do that because I don't trust you. And I just had toxic people that would just put themselves in my life like a little too familiar, like it, and I didn't like it. And she just kind of like, I'm here when you need me, like dude, you don't have to tell me anything, I'm here. And that's exactly the friend that I needed. And from there, and she's in chat, she hates it when I validate her. She hates words of affirmation. But yeah, from there it was just good. And then I just learned a lot from her, was like to be patient, and to like definitely not overextend myself to be there, but to like be there, because like quality time is her love language. So just like hang out, play games. If one of us is having a bad day, like Discord call, something like that. And that just understanding love languages made me like have a even better friendship with her.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how amazing and terrifying finding a friend like that is, because like for me it's like one of those that like trust issues, you know, and like and it's a big thing that makes it so hard to connect. And then when you find it, you're like, first off, like this is amazing, but also like there's that like for the longest time I just kept waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like I kept waiting for, I was like, this can't be real, you know. And like it's just such a wild experience, but I feel like it's made me such a better friend to people, because it taught me communication too, because I felt like she was someone I could be open with. And so because we lived in the same house, you know, we lived together all of college, and so it taught me to be like, hey, I had a bad day, I'm not mad at you. If you think like if I am giving off like aggression right now, like it's not towards you, you know. And just like something as basic as like communicating that helps so much, because then she's not in her head like, did I do something wrong, you know, like that kind of stuff. And yeah, I don't know, when I think about it, it makes me really happy, just because I had a lot of like, fake kind of friends, or you know, like toxic ex that made me feel like, oh, just don't trust people and that's how you live. But when you find someone that you know you're on the same page with, you can be honest with and real with, and you know that they care about you and you care about them, like it's such a, I don't know, it's such a beautiful feeling.
Oh yeah, I agree. It, because for very, very same reasons, so many trust issues, because I've had toxic people, and I had a very toxic ex, but all my friends in California were his friends. So I always knew if something happened to us, I wouldn't have those friends because they were friends with me by extension. So I never really had my own. And when I did not know what to look for, and they were just toxic and they were bad for me. And then I met my best friend, and I was just kind of like, oh, like, of course, that'll always be nice. And there was kind of like, it really was like the wild animal thing, because it was like she was just not trying to get into my space. She wasn't like trying to get all my information about anything. And now, like, this second a thought passes my mind, I'll like, I feel like this today, I will, by the way, here's my social security number, do with it what you want. Like, I don't care. Like, at any point she could like drain my bank account if she wanted to, but also she will cringe if I send her like $1. So I don't. But also I met her through Twitch, so that, like, going way back, what things I do like about Twitch, I really like that I randomly met my best friend off Twitch, and that's cool.
That's pretty cool. I saw some things back there, but I definitely, a lot of scrolling has happened since. I'll just ask that. Oh wait, no, there's one. Fieldman asked if you like scary games and if you've played any on stream.
I have a weird relationship with scary games because they don't scare me.
Really?
Same thing with like horror movies. It's just when something's supposed to be scary, I expect to be scared. And when I expect to be scared, I can't get scared, because it's kind of easy to call a jump scare, or like, you know, there's going to be fear involved, and that knocks it down a lot of levels in my head. Like, for movies at least, like thrillers are better for me. They're actually scarier to me because a lot of things could actually happen. But like in a scary game, I don't really play them on stream because it's not fun for everyone. And I say that as someone who gets just the life scared out of me through alerts, but stream is not inherently scary, so I don't expect to get scared. But if something is scary and I expect it, I can call it, and it's not as spooky to me. But yeah, I don't know if I've fully played a scary game. I usually jump into them and I'm just like, I'm expecting the thrill, so I killed it for myself. I like survival games though, because I think survival is scary.
Yeah.
Like, trying not to die in a semi-realistic like way is kind of creepy to me. So it takes more like realistic things to scare me than like jump scares or chases or murder or anything like that.
I'm kind of the opposite, where like I know it's gonna happen, so then I like anticipate and I get like pre-anxious when I'm like, I know it's gonna happen, and then the second that it happens, like it still gets me. I also I've never really been a big like horror movie person, so like I'm just not as used to it, I guess, or familiar with it. Like I've done the game that I keep putting off finishing on stream is Until Dawn, which is kind of horror survival combo, making quick decisions, and I'm bad at making decisions. But those stress me out too, because I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna get everybody killed, and I'm trying my best.
Yeah, that having to make an on-the-spot decision is probably one of the scarier things for me, because I'm like,
yeah,
I gotta weigh my options. Like I'm not ready.
Yeah, I need time. Let's see. I have another question here. What do you love most about your stream community, and how would you describe it using the 3-word format?
I gotta think of 3 words again. As I forget all of vocabulary. I don't know the one thing I love most about stream, because it goes back to them just being so kind and accepting of everyone, and just still, even through like the chillest vibes, us just having chaos and it being a good time. And if I was to describe the community to be, it still defaults back to cozy, chaotic, and wholesome. Like that is the essence of what happens in stream. It can be one more than the other, but it's usually all of it. Like it's feel good time, it's like laughing and having fun, it's being serious when it's needed. It's everything that you want in friendships, and it's just bundled up in the community, and that's what I like about it.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of the best, is just like being able to have all of those like good things of like kindness, but it's also not like, you know, like they mess around, they have fun, like, you know, like they'll tease you or you can kind of like tease back and kind of stuff, but you know, at the end of the day that they're there to support you. And I think one of the biggest surprises to me is that when I have needed to take time off stream, or you know, like for a variety of reasons, just how gracious the community can be, because
Yeah.
I beat myself up way more than they ever would over me having to miss stream. I'm always like, I'm so sorry, like I really want to be there, and I just know that I can't, and I give like all of these reasons, and I just feel so terrible, and they're like, it's okay, like take care of yourself. And it surprises me every time.
That is such a good feel, because the truly the guilt of not streaming is so high, because you feel like you're letting people down. You feel like you just are a bad streamer for taking you to just the dumbest things, but like it could still go through your head, and just to hear community say like, no, you do what you need to do, that's okay, we'll be here. Just the "we'll be here" is the, like, that will always just, like, it makes me feel so good, like, okay, I'll try not to feel guilty about it, like they will be there. And I love that.
I don't think I see anymore. I mean, I have like I said, I have a giant list of questions, but I think we're at what, like 3 hours? Yeah, I think we've gotten to about 3 hours. I'm sure someday I'll reach out to you again in the future, because there are so many other things to talk about and so many other questions that I have. And I really enjoyed it. Like time flew by. Like I kind of like looked up and I was like, oh my God. But I have really enjoyed getting to know you, because I knew you a little bit, and I've always had a lot of admiration and respect for you, and that just continued to grow, just getting to know you more. And I just really appreciate who you are as a person, who you are as a streamer, and how you respect and treat, the people around you, and just, I don't know, the perspectives that you have on things, and how you articulate yourself. Even though you don't feel you're good at summarizing, I think you do a brilliant job at it. So
Thank you.
but I really, really enjoyed getting to talk to you and getting to know you. And thank you again for taking the time to be here.
I absolutely loved it. And I'm so thankful that you asked me to join, because I was so excited. I was so excited. And I had a lot of fun. And I'm happy we got to talk about a lot of things like, they're just not like the difficult, like we said earlier, it's not difficult. It's just, it's hard to find someone that relates to a lot of things.
Yeah.
And that's always nice to find, because it's, you don't feel like you fit in most places, so just having that little click is so nice.
Yeah. If there's anything that you want to promote, or also just let people know when you're on, or anything that you have going on, take a moment to do that. Plug your channel. We've got your link in. If you guys do !guest, it'll bring up her Twitch link. So please follow, or also sub. But go give her all of your support, please.
I appreciate that. I'm just on in the mornings. If you're up and alone in the morning, you hate mornings, like we're there. Not Tuesdays or Saturdays, because that's me time. But yeah, I had good time. I'm really excited on this.
Yeah, and I will I'm in the process of doing this, but I'm getting them so that they will be uploaded on YouTube on my channel. So if you ever want to go back, recap, or save it and have it for yourself, it'll exist there as well. And I've been talking to a couple people, actually. I want to try to do like a girls game night or something, and get a bunch of female streamers together to play games and just like find a way to strengthen, I don't know, communities within, because I feel like there are so many amazing streamers that I know that either don't know each other or I want to know better, and I feel like it'd be a fun way to get people together and I don't know, meet new people. So
yeah, that's dope.
So I'll probably reach out at some point and let you know when I get my life together enough to figure out when I'm gonna do that. But yeah, would absolutely love to have you be a part of that.
Yes, perfect. I'm down already. I'm done.
All right. Well, I am going to switch over to the promo screen so that I can say goodbye to our guests. But everybody, thank you for being here. Send all of your love again over to her channel. Show her all of that amazing energy that she gives out. And thank you again to everyone in chat, and thank you again to you. Yeah. All right. I'm going to, I guess I'll transition over if you want to say bye to everyone.
Bye, friends. Bye-bye.
All right.